How's that? Oh, it's beautiful. Oh, it's always beautiful. Good morning to each and every single one of you. Let's see. Scalise going to miss votes for Speaker. White House just walked back some Biden claims of seeing atrocities in Israel. All right. Freaking whisper. He always gives me good information. I'm going to let the Discord know we're live. And we'll get going. On time today. On time today. It's going to be a beautiful day. I got to read some shit today. So, glasses on. Got the Dwight Schrutes going today. It's going to be lovely. It's going to be lovely. Welcome everybody. Hi Sue, how are you? I want you guys to know I've been in contact with HVAC and he is trying to get me access to the video when we were actually, I got to give him credit. I'm going to give him a little credit here. He's going to get us access to the video of when he had a whole panel of lefties. I'll let him know after. Let me let him know. What do you guys think about this little background here? I found this on Twitter this morning. I thought that was funny. Dear Lord, please find it in your heart to inflict some unimaginable suffering and misery upon the American people so that we Republicans blame it on Joe Biden. Amen. Seems to be the plan. All right. A couple of news stories this morning. Diva, welcome, by the way. Thank you for that video you sent me. And then I pulled up the documents, so that's where I got the story. So thank you, Diva, for this story. Old Donnie Don's got some issues. Old Donald Trump's got some issues here that he's running into. Apparently, Deutsche Bank happy to go on the record and talk about how these loans that Donald Trump got were based on inflated assets. They're not very happy about it. This was filed with the New York County Clerk September 21st. The loans obtained through the use of the inflated statements likewise required performance and confirmation year after year. Each of the Deutsche Bank loans, for example, had terms extending past 2020 and had continuing obligations to maintain a net worth of at least 2.5 billion and unencumbered liquidity of 50 million. Each of the loans required the annual submission of the statement of financial condition to meet these covenants, as well as a certification that the statements were true and accurate, and there had been no material changes to either Mr. Trump's net worth or his liquidity. Well, bad news. His liquidity's in the shitter. This could explain why Donald Trump has been fundraising like a motherfucker and not paying any of his attorneys. This could explain that. He needs $50 million in liquidity at all times for his loans to stay current. That's a little sketch. It would be interesting to see what his liquidity is like. And it would also explain possibly why he's constantly talking recently about how much cash he has on hand. Interesting enough. Defendants also went to great lengths to conceal their fraud in submitting information to Mazars. I don't know if that's a person. I don't know who that is. Mazars. Defendants would exclude key information like lender-ordered appraisals on a given property or limitations on development like the easements at Mar-a-Lago. In presenting the statements, defendants hid the precise valuation of individual properties by grouping them together into categories like club facilities and related real estate. When properties dropped in value, the change was covered up by increasing the valuation of other properties in the same category or moving them into different categories, the way Seven Springs was moved into other assets following receipt of the appraisal for the easement donation. So, not good. I'll continue reading this. Deutsche Bank has recently become aware of certain public factual. This is from Deutsche. Deutsche Bank has become aware of certain public factual allegations concerning the accuracy of financial information and representation submitted to Deutsche in connection with various loan facilities extended to affiliates of the Trump Organization and subject to the personal financial guarantee of Donald J. Trump. These allegations have been raised, among other places, in public court filings by the Office of the Attorney General, as well as in public reporting by the New York Times related to certain tax return information reportedly obtained by the organization. The factual allegations appear to directly relate to the accuracy of certain statements of financial condition submitted to Deutsche in Donald J. Trump's capacity as guarantor of the relevant loan facilities. The allegations pertain to, among other things, the value and other attributes of certain assets referred in such statements of financial condition. So Deutsche is like, all right, that's enough. We've seen enough. Now you've got the bank, one of the few banks that was willing to work with Donald Trump. One of the few banks now seem to be involved. Also, Deutsche Bank, good reminder there, Russia. Deutsche Bank is also in a huge lawsuit with Russia. So let me switch my background here for our subject today. I do see that there's somebody in the box. Not sure who it is. Let me switch this real quick. There we go. If you love living... Oh, it cut off. If you love living paycheck to paycheck while billionaires hoard money, vote for Republicans. It will make all of your dreams come true. Vote for the Republicans if you love living paycheck to paycheck while billionaires hoard money, because that's what they want. So that's what they want. And I'm sure I got some angry MAGA in here that want me to somehow blame Joe Biden for what's going on over in Israel, I'm guessing. All right, opposition only in the box, please. This morning I do have some more stories, so you may have to wait for a minute while I get through that. Let's go to a fun clip of Donald Trump here. This is courtesy of the Ron DeSantis campaign, who seem to have recently found their testicles and are now flexing newfound testicles by saying sometimes not nice things about Trump. Here we go. This is Trump yesterday, talking about standing with Israel. Here we go.
And then 2 nights ago, I read all of Biden's security people. Can you imagine? National defense people. And they said, gee, I hope Hezbollah doesn't attack from the north, because that's the most vulnerable spot. I said, wait a minute. You know, Hezbollah is very smart. They're all very smart. The press doesn't like when they say it. You know, I said that President Xi of China, 1.4 billion people, he controls it with an iron fist. I said, he's a very smart man. They killed me the next day. I said he was smart. What am I going to say? But Hezbollah, they're very smart. And they have a national defense minister or somebody saying, I hope Hezbollah doesn't attack us from the north. So the following morning they attacked. They might not have been doing it, but if you listen to this jerk, you would attack from the north, because he said that's our weak spot. About 15 seconds later, it was all over, and we did it. But I'll never forget that Bibi Netanyahu let us down. That was a very terrible thing, I will say that. And so when I see sometimes the intelligence, you talk about the intelligence, or you talk about some of the things that went wrong over the last week.
He doesn't know a goddamn thing. He honestly doesn't know anything. It is baffling how uninformed a former president could be. Like, he first of all, his continuation of praising the worst possible people. He loves praising the worst possible people. But when you listen to him, like, it's pretty clear this guy has no idea what he's talking about. I wonder, you hear the reports of how they had to dumb down all his security briefings, how they had to put like pictures and catchphrases in them just to get him to read them. This is your guy. This is still your guy. MAGA. This is your guy.
Jay, my friend,
Hello.
are you okay?
I'm great. Thanks for asking.
I had to check up on you this morning to see how battered, abused, broken body parts that you had this morning. Because I saw somebody try to give an olive branch and had it broken, shoved up somebody's, that lady who knew everything there was to know and didn't know her own name. The one woman who was threatening to ban everybody on the site
ban the whole
and would
world.
not shut up. It was like they kicked you, stabbed you, poked you, hated you, and I have never
Stacey
seen...
just had too many drinks, I think. I think that's what happened.
I have never seen a super mega live like that was so uneducated, misinformed, and would not listen to anybody.
No, but it was fun. But we had a good time.
Oh, it was
Yeah,
wild. I
yeah,
tried to
we did
call.
okay.
I wanted to call in some cavalry help for you, but I couldn't find Miss Julie.
Oh well, she's she's still in jail, I believe. I'm hoping she got. I'm hoping that the phones at the jail are working today, and that we'll get Miss Julie back. But time will tell.
So I didn't mean to interrupt, but I had to ask you. I was thinking about it last night. I have to call Jay and see if he's all right this morning from the
I'm doing
beating he
okay.
got yesterday.
I'm doing okay. The rejected olive branch was painful, but I got through it.
Thanks, Jay. Have a
Thanks,
great
Sean.
one.
You too. We'll see it. If any of you weren't there, that we were in HVAC's live last night, and HVAC wasn't really there, but his moderators were drunk as hell and kept threatening everybody. Every time somebody would come in, Stacy, who was the moderator, it's like she'd never been on a live before. She would hear somebody, like somebody would come in and they'd be like, "Hi," and she'd be like, "Who the hell's that? Who the fuck are you?" And she would get so mad, like she didn't know she could just look on the screen at who was talking. Sorry if you guys got kicked. I did. Full disclosure, I did get an apology from HVAC. I did. He said he talked to his mods, told him not to kick people. So I'll give HVAC credit there. But his mods were she was out of her goddamn mind. What happened at one point? We were talking about. I think it was when we were talking about the civil case against Trump, and I was just explaining to her how a jury worked. Right, that what happened in this case is there was evidence presented, and then the juries made a decision, and the juries found him civilly liable for SA. And what she said is, well, I need to see the transcripts. I don't know if there are transcripts for that, actually. I meant to look that up after. But I asked her if she thought she knew more evidence than Trump's lawyers, and she said yes. She said, yeah, that's what happened. If I would have been Trump's lawyer, he would have been off. He would have been fine. None of this would have happened. But apparently his lawyers didn't do a good enough job, and she knew more than them. So it was a good night. Who was waiting there? I don't remember who this is. I know I've talked to this person before. Let's see if I get a bunch of groans from Discord. Welcome.
How are you? Like, hello, my friend. I'm just confused. Like, how do you?
Oh, I remember you. You're the guy. You didn't get fired?
What the
I
hell
thought
are
I
you
got you
talking about?
fired from your troll job. Did you got a warning?
I'm not troll. I don't live under a bridge. I don't look
No,
green
not
or
that
anything.
kind of troll. No, I'm talking about your office job where you show up and you read
Are
all
you
the
saying
stuff.
Are you saying I work in tech support scam?
Not tech support scam. I think you are paid to go on TikToks and read a list of things.
So like tech support scam? No, I don't do that.
That's not tech support scam. That's not what that means.
No, I don't troll. Like none of that. Okay.
Okay. Well, I got to be honest, that's disappointing. Because if these are your real thoughts, that's a bit problematic.
That I believe that you're dumb. That's a bad thought?
You believe that I'm dumb. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Yes.
I don't think
Yeah.
it's like the worst thought. I've been called worse. That's not that bad.
Well, yeah. So I don't think I'm problematic.
No, you're not problematic. You're just not off. You don't seem to know much, but you have a lot of opinions, and you just bounce from opinion to opinion. I guess that's par for the course for MAGA. You might just be like regular MAGA from somewhere else. I also don't believe your accent.
You don't have to believe anything because
Okay.
we're random strangers. Like-
Random strengthers? What'd you say?
Stranger. ST.
Strangers. Oh,
Yes.
strangers. Well,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
the
that's true. We have not met. That's true. What did you want to talk about today?
Well, because you can see in the economy that they're trying to get rid of the middle class. So
How are they
the
doing
only-
that?
Well, because I'm in middle class, and I'll tell you right now, they're trying
I
to
thought
get
you
rid
didn't.
of.
Wait, do you live in the States? I thought you lived
I
somewhere
have
else.
I have dual citizenship.
Okay. But you don't currently live in the States, right?
No, I don't want to live in bullshit country.
Okay. So what is it? See, you're laughing. What are you? Look, just tell me what this is. I just need to know what this is. Oh, we broke him. We broke him. We broke him. You can't even keep it together. Caden, I can't see you in your picture. Your camouflage is too good.
Hello.
What's up, Caden?
Not much. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Good.
No, I would just say that maybe Republicans are maybe more for opportunity, and I don't know. That's kind of what I would start with.
What do you mean?
So, they believe obviously less in taxes. We start that for now. Taxes are on the rise, property tax, as well as just the cost of living in general. Just
How
what would you
would
say about that?
Well, I would say that we've spent a lot of money, and how are we going to pay that money back without increasing taxes?
Okay, what are we spending the money on?
Well, we've spent a lot of money on a lot of things. This could take hours for us to get through this. But what did our debt go up, like 7 trillion under Trump? I think it's gone up like 4 or 5 so far under Biden, maybe more than that. It's a lot of money. How are we going to pay that back if we lower taxes?
Sure. Well, I think the American people come first, right? How are we, if we have $7 trillion in debt, like
Well,
that's
we have a lot more
obviously
than
a lot
that.
of money, right?
Well, we have a lot more debt than that.
Well, yeah, but just, over 4 years, like that's
I
quite a
think
bit
we
of
got
money in 4 years.
33.5 trillion.
Sure. Yeah, that's obviously, like I
It's
said, quite a
high.
bit of money on, but are you expecting just taxpayers to pay that back?
Well, who else is going to pay it back?
Well, I don't know. That's $7 trillion. Or 33 trillion, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't know how the government's not a business, right? They don't have like other revenue streams.
Sure.
So
I'm
how are
just
they going to pay
saying,
that back?
you know, I honestly don't know. Like, I'm not saying I have the answer, but how are you expecting the taxpayers or the citizens of the United States to pay back $33 trillion?
Well, we spent it.
Yeah, I know, but I'm literally asking for your opinion. That's all,
Yeah, we've got to. First of all, we've got to decrease spending, and then we've also got to increase taxes, and we certainly need to take a lot of the money that's been hoarded at the top, and get that going into the economy again. There's really two ways you can do this. I mean, you could. It's true that you can't just tax rich people enough to pay this off. You can't. You have to tax, but you also have to create an economy that makes everybody earn more money. And the only way to do that is to get the money circulating again, right?
Sure. Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
So there's two ways we can get money to circulate. We can either print more money and put it into the economy, or we can take the money that's not circulating and force it to circulate.
Gotcha. And that would be by,
Just want to make sure you're over 18, right?
yeah,
Okay.
21.
Thank you. Yeah. So those are kind of our two options, right?
Yeah, so, sorry. I was meaning to explain the second one. How are you going to get the money back into the economy there?
Yeah, well, again, we can do like what we did with COVID, where we print money and we run it through the economy. But do you know what happened to that money? Do you know where that money wound up going?
No, I'm not sure, really.
Yeah, it just found its way to billionaires, and then
No,
it
I'm
stays
saying,
there.
could
That's
you
where that money
explain
went.
your second point there? You said, one, we could print money, or two, we could get the money back circulating. Could
Oh
you
yeah,
explain that point?
very wealthy people hoard money.
Okay.
It doesn't circulate. They collect money and then they hoard it.
So you're just saying tax it and then we get it back?
Not even, yeah, tax it, but also make a system so that money doesn't just stop at the top. We've got to have a more equitable system.
Sure. And I guess my point is, obviously the rich are being taxed, but I think everybody else's taxes are going up as well, right?
The richest no, actually, everybody's taxes went up except for the rich. When Donald Trump set his tax cuts in 2017, the tax cut for the middle class expired. The tax cut for the upper tiers never expired. They still have their tax cut.
Sure.
You think Republicans care about you? If your tax cut expired but the tax cut for the rich didn't?
So I guess my general opinion on
I know,
this,
but I just asked you a question, right?
yeah, I'm gonna explain it here.
Cool.
My general opinion on this is that Republicans care more about opportunity and not more about taking from people
What does
that earn their
what does that
money.
mean?
Does
What do you
make
mean?
sense? What's
No, it
that?
doesn't.
Sorry.
It didn't make a lot of sense. What do you mean by that?
So if you're just gonna take money if you earn it, if somebody works really hard to earn a lot of money, and then they get all that taken, then what's their incentive to earn money?
Well, who are you talking about?
Anybody.
Okay, well, you don't tax everybody at the same rate. So what I would say is that you take people making over $10 million, and for every dollar they make over $10 million, you tax it at 90%. So 90 cents of every dollar over 10 million that you make is taxed.
So you want to cap basically
100%.
at $90 million.
10 million.
Or, okay, sorry. I misheard you.
Per year. Every dollar you make after 10 million, you're taxed at 90%.
Sure. What would you say on a flat tax rate across everybody?
I think it's so stupid. It wouldn't pay for anything. It's a dumb thing that rich people are trying to put out there because Republicans don't want to demonize rich people. A flat tax disproportionately would hurt poor and middle class people. It would allow rich people to keep actually more of their money and pay a low number in tax.
Sure.
It does, and it doesn't keep the money circulating. That's the problem. The issue isn't taxes necessarily. The issue is that we have a system now where if you are rich, it's easy to get money, and when you get that money, you don't have to circulate it. You can just sit on it. But it's our money, dude. Like, it's the country's money. The country provides the money. The country backs the currency. It's backed by us. So why do we allow that currency to be hoarded?
Yeah, I'll tell you, I'm definitely a Republican, but I mean, I definitely came on here to more ask questions and just kind of get your point of view on what you're thinking.
Yeah, why are you definitely Republican?
I believe more in the values of Republican.
Like what?
I mean, I don't taxation, abortion,
wait,
guns,
but hold on.
all that sort of thing.
Let's go one by one. Taxation. You like low
Sure.
taxes, right?
Yeah.
Okay, what's smarter, if you increase spending and cut taxes, or if you increase spending and raise taxes? Which one of those is more fiscally responsible?
Increase spending and raise taxes, and what was the
Or
first one?
increase spending and cut taxes?
I would say increase spending and cut taxes.
Well,
What
that
is
doesn't
your
make
feeling?
sense, right? Because if you increase spending and you cut taxes, you're going to bring in less money to pay for your spending, right?
Oh, sure. I get what
Yeah.
you're saying now.
So
understand you.
I don't know if you know this, but when Republicans are in office, they always increase deficit spending, which means that they increase their spending and cut taxes. So they bring in less money. The deficit between what we bring in and what we're spending gets larger. And Democrats, when they're in, they lower it every single year. Every single time there's a Democrat in office, we lower deficit spending. And as soon as a Republican comes in, they raise it right back up.
Sure.
So who does that help?
Obviously, yeah. The American people. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, but who does it help? Who do Republicans help? If they cut the taxes while increasing spending, who do they help?
Oh yeah, they're just
Just the
helping
rich.
nobody. Yeah. I
Just the
understand.
rich, just the people with all the money, right?
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Okay. And then what was the other things you said you liked about Republicans?
Obviously, the Second Amendment, the abortion issue, that sort of thing. You know, I'm a lot. I feel like a stricter punishments on crime, sort of that
Okay.
stuff.
So let's talk Second Amendment. Do you think that should be like unlimited, like you could be able to have whatever weapons you want, or do you think there should be any limits on weapons?
So the problem with, I think, putting laws on weapons is criminals, they don't follow laws, right?
Yeah.
Are you agreeing with me?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So that's my problem with gun laws is criminals don't follow them. So why are you restricting law-abiding citizens from gun laws, but obviously criminals don't follow them at all?
Yeah, that's true. That would be the case with like almost all laws, right? That would be a case to not have any laws.
Okay, but what I'm saying though is if you're going to restrict me from getting, oh, I don't know, you know, maybe I want to get a pistol and you're going to restrict me from getting that and restrict me from defending my family, and but obviously a criminal can get that on the black market from Mexico.
Wait, but
from
Democrats
wherever.
aren't advocating that they take away your pistol.
Yeah, they are. They're advocating for
Who?
more laws. It makes it harder for me to get one.
Who? Like
Democrats
what
in
kind of
general.
laws? Like a background check or like insurance or what? Which laws are you talking about?
Well, red flag laws and more like I mean, strong background checks, and
What's wrong with a red flag law? Why
well,
don't
it
you like
makes
that?
in general all these things added together, right? All these different situations added together make it a lot harder for me to get a gun. Would you say it's harder for someone to get a gun now than it was 20 years ago?
Probably depending on where they're at, but like I don't see why it's a big deal. Like I have a gun. I don't see why it's a big deal. It was remarkably easy for me to get one. I don't know why it's an issue that we want to make sure that people who shouldn't have guns don't have guns.
I'm just saying, where does it stop though, right?
What? No, no, not where does it stop? Like we. So this is a weird like slippery slope argument that is made oftentimes with guns. Everything stops someplace, right? It stops someplace. Where does it stop? It stops someplace. And
Sure,
and
but
can that place change? Yeah, absolutely. Every single thing, every law, every bit of ideology we have, it stops someplace,
sure, but you
right?
can
And right
see that
now
it's
we're saying like let's get some red flag laws. Let's make sure that there's maybe some protection for people who are victims of violence. Let's make sure that maybe there's some consequences for people who aren't good owners of their guns, who don't take proper care, who let their weapons get into the hands of people who shouldn't have those weapons. I think all of those are like reasonable things.
I get what you're saying, but as you can see, and as we've all seen, that like I said earlier, it's clearly harder to get a gun now than it was 20 years ago.
Yeah, but is
So,
it harder to get a gun
so,
now? Do you think it's harder to get a gun now or in 1776?
well, 1776, they didn't have any gun laws.
Ooh, you're wrong about that. Have you read the Second Amendment? I guess that's not 1776, but in the few years after, like after the Second Amendment. Do you
Okay,
think it
yeah,
was
then,
easier to get a gun right post when the Second Amendment was written or now?
so what are you referencing there?
The Second Amendment. Do you know who was allowed to have weapons with the Second Amendment? Do you know who it gave the right to weapons to?
You're gonna have to tell me.
Militia members.
Okay, I think that is.
So
So
you
what's the
had to
second?
be
What
wait. So
is the second?
you had to be white. You had to be land. Well, I guess you didn't have to be landowner. You
So
had to be
so
white, and you had to be in a militia. And
can
for a while, you couldn't keep those weapons at your home. They had to be in like the what do you call in an armory, right?
okay,
So you
so
could go get your weapons when you were acting as a militia. So it was actually harder at the beginning than it is now. It's easier now.
are you sure that a militia was defined in that manner?
I'm 100%
Are you
sure. Which
sure it wasn't defined in the sense of a well-regulated army per se,
No, I'm
or just a lot
100%
of
sure.
people?
It was a well-regulated militia, and since then, the Second Amendment has been interpreted differently, which is fine. Like that's what our court system is supposed to do. We're supposed to, because the Constitution was written forever ago, and because many of these amendments were written forever ago, we constantly have to reinterpret them.
Sure.
Because they're not written perfectly. So one of the first changes that we saw with the Second Amendment is that people didn't want to have to go to the armory to get their weapons. They wanted to be able to keep those weapons at home. They could do that to protect their homes. They could do that in case there was an invasion at night. And also, unfortunately, part of that was to make sure that their slaves didn't run away. So it was reinterpreted that way. And since then, we've seen many interpretations, which leads us to where we're at now, which basically is granting all Americans the right to having a gun. But that's just an interpretation of where we started, right? So we could go either way. But I'm just saying, like, it's pretty easy to get a gun in this country. There are not a lot of infringements on your Second Amendment, not a ton.
Yeah, and like I said, it's going further, and I just
Well,
want,
well, Trump's the last person that really did anything with guns when he banned bump
and I
stocks.
don't I don't agree with that,
Well,
honestly.
then, well, but if you're looking at what Trump did and Biden did, and you're saying like I'm Republican because of Second Amendment, you're looking at the two leaders of the parties, and one of those is tougher on your Second Amendment rights than the other, but you side with them.
But that's one thing I don't agree with Trump. I mean,
I know,
not the
but if
one thing, but
I know, but if you're saying you like the Republican values because of the Second Amendment, and you're looking at the leaders of both parties, aren't the Democrats more pro Second Amendment than Donald Trump?
I'm not s- I'm not saying that Donald Trump was I'm not saying Donald Trump was the best option that we could have put out there. I'm still not
No,
saying he is.
no, I'm just asking if this is really like your take, like if you care more about Second Amendment, then why would you side with the Republicans right now?
Like I said, I care more about their values in general, and I don't know if you can say that Biden is more lenient on the Second Amendment based on what he said.
But do you care about what somebody says or somebody's actions?
Like I said, I don't agree with. I'm trying to establish here. I don't agree with that one thing that Trump did. That doesn't mean that I'm going to throw everything out. I mean, do you not agree with one thing Biden's done?
No, that's not what I'm saying. Let's try
That
this
is
again,
what you're
Kate.
saying, I think.
No, Caden. What I'm saying is just on this specific issue. I'm not saying you have to like look at Biden and Trump and say because of this you're a Biden supporter and not a Trump supporter, or you're a Democrat and not a Republican. I'm just saying on this one specific issue that we're talking about with guns. What's going on with my video? I don't know. That looks weird. I'm just talking about what's going on with guns in this one particular issue. When you say that's a reason to support Republicans, I don't know that you're really seeing a difference. The Republicans actually did more to take away your rights, to your Second Amendment rights than the Democrats. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying you have to take that and then decide because of that one issue you're a Democrat now. I'm just saying on this specific one.
Yeah, I got you. I know. I got you. I'm just saying.
So.
I think in general, though, I think Republicans would lead more on pro-gun if you took Republicans as a whole.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Fair enough.
That's
what I'm saying.
Fair enough. Yep.
Yeah.
And then what was the next issue?
Abortion.
Abortion. Okay. What's your stance on abortion?
I'm definitely pro-life.
Okay. Any exceptions?
See, I'm pretty extreme on that. I would say no.
So no incest or rape. No.
I think a lot of times people that are pro-abortion take the 1% chance and apply that to everything.
I know, but I'm just asking if you make any exceptions.
I'm saying no.
So 13-year-old gets impregnated by her uncle. Sorry, she's got to have that kid.
So I believe abortion's wrong. I believe that's wrong, but I don't believe that an evil can correct an evil. Correct?
I
So
understand
that's what
that.
I'm saying.
Okay, gotcha. Now, why do you think that we should have the right to force somebody to carry a child?
I don't think they made a choice, right? And don't bring up the 1%, just in general. They made a choice.
What do you mean the 1%?
Like rape, incest, whatever. We can talk about that.
No, I was just asking for your. I was only asking that so that I knew like what your exact stance was.
Sure,
right?
sure. Okay. Generally, a choice is made to have sex, right?
Yep.
Okay. What is sex? What's the purpose of sex?
It feels great.
Reproduction, I would say.
Well, that's not why I have sex.
Well, I mean, don't get me wrong, I have sex for pleasure too, but the purpose.
Okay, wait, hold on.
Purpose,
then how's it? Wait, hold on.
Purpose, the main
hold on. Hold on.
What I said.
No, hold on. You just said the purpose.
Reproduction.
Wait, says who?
How do we reproduce? Like how do you
reproduce that way? But that's not why I have sex.
I would say it would be the main purpose why it exists is for reproduction.
No. In fact, most of the time when people have sex, like almost every time somebody has sex, they don't have a child.
Well, you can do that. That's fine.
Yeah, but if it's the main purpose, how come the outcome is not having a child very often?
I mean, I would say I don't know how a better way to explain this here, but what I'm saying is I guess the more important purpose would be reproduction, right?
Whoa, what do you mean more important?
Well,
for me, the most important part for me is that like this is going to be great. It's going to feel great, and at the end of it, I'm not going to have an extra kid.
Sure, but when you have sex, I think you are consenting to the possibility that a pregnancy is likely.
Okay, that's true. You are consenting to the idea that not likely, by the way, because again, it's a
possibility.
Because earlier you were just like, I don't want to do the 1%. I don't want to talk about the 1%. I don't want to talk about the minority. The huge minority of the time that people have sex, a pregnancy does not occur. So your logic is a little flawed here. You don't want to talk
No,
about
no.
the minority when we talk about like exceptions, but
No, we
you're
can
cool
talk.
focusing on the minority of outcomes when it comes to sex.
No, what I'm saying is we can talk about the minority, but just don't apply it to the general. You know what I'm saying? We can talk
But
about
that's
that
what
separately,
you're
right?
doing. You're saying that the purpose of sex is to reproduce, and you're taking the minority, the huge minority of outcome, and saying that is the reason for sex. You're not very consistent on your logic here.
Sure, that's what you're saying, but I would say it's the more important value. Like I said, I should rephrase that.
What makes it more important?
It has more value. Bringing a life
Wait,
in
what
the
do you mean
world
it has more
bringing-
value?
Bringing a life in the world has more value than me having pleasure.
Who cares? But again, it's not about like what's more valuable to you. I'm saying like why does your logic all of a sudden flip here?
I don't. Like I said, I will talk about the minorities in all the times, but
I know,
and
but
that goes back to my
your
point.
entire logic, you're saying that sex is used for reproduction. That's the purpose of it, but that's the huge minority of the outcomes.
That's what I'm saying is you're consenting to that possibility. Is all I'm saying.
Okay,
You're
so if
consenting
you
to that possibility.
okay,
That makes
so if you
sense?
consent to that possibility,
Yeah.
if you're consenting to a possible outcome, even if it's the minority, then you're saying that we should force people to live out live out that scenario. If a scenario where you get pregnant comes, you should live out that scenario because you consented to the possibility that it would happen. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, generally.
Okay, so if you get in a car crash because you got in a car, you consented to the idea that you might get hurt, right? Should you not get any medical care?
Should you not get any medical care? Because
Yeah, you get in a car accident, you break your leg. Should you not be able to
Sure.
fix your leg?
Sure. Yeah.
Why? But you consented to it.
I think you're applying fixing a broken leg to killing a baby, though.
Well, no, I'm not talking about. I'm not comparing them at all. I'm talking about rights here.
Well, yeah. Well, that's what you're gonna go back and do. Is
No,
you're
I'm
gonna
going to talk about rights, right? Because I think that do you believe that all of us have rights?
Yeah.
Do you believe that women or men should have more rights than do you think men should have more rights than women, or women should have more rights than men?
Definitely not.
Definitely not. Okay. Do you think a fetus should have more rights than us?
Like a fetus should have equal rights.
Okay, equal rights. Okay. So
Yep.
if in this scenario you get somebody pregnant,
Sure.
is there any other entity that is going to feed off of your resources, that is going to be attached to you, feeding off your resources without your consent?
Off me personally?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Will there be anybody feeding off the resources of the fetus?
No.
Will
Just-
there be
just the woman.
Just the woman.
Mhm.
So you don't believe in equal rights?
How is that not equal rights?
Well, you
It's
have
just-
the
I think
right.
it's
You
just
have
diff-
the
I
right.
think it's
So
different for us as
you have the right to not have.
responsibilities.
You have the right to not have anybody leech off your resources. The fetus has the right to not have anybody leech off their resources, but the woman does not.
How is that not equal rights? I think that's just a
you need a-
result
so
of it.
you have
But that's
the-
just a result of an action, right?
Agreed, but the result of the action caused one person. There were two parties here, and then there became three parties, and only one party is required to lose the right to their bodily integrity, their right to do with their body as they please, their right to say, no, you can't use my body without my consent. Only one person loses their right here.
But how? Okay, help me out here. How are they losing a right?
Because
mean-
they do not want to have a child. They do not want to give their
But
resources.
like I said, that's a result of an action.
Okay, so then again, let's go back to the car wreck. Just because you decided to get in a car, does that mean that you lose your right to medical care, to have your own bodily integrity because you got in a car?
No. But these are
See the issue here?
These are completely different situations.
They are completely different, but in only one of these scenarios, I bet we could go through 10,000 scenarios where you would agree that everybody has the right to bodily integrity until that comes to a woman and forcing that woman to carry a baby, including in your scenario, a 13-year-old girl who was impregnated by her uncle.
I'm not against women at all. Not at all. I don't think you can twist that.
I didn't say you were against
No,
women. I said
no, but that's-
you are okay taking away the right of a woman to her own bodily integrity in this instance. And in every other instance, you seem to be cool with equality, except for this one.
I think it's a responsibility of an action. Like I said, I've stated that, right?
But you only care about the responsibility for the action in losing your bodily integrity with this one specific instance.
I mean, I don't know how you're going to change that. I believe the man has a definitely has a responsibility in
the
that
way
as well,
that you
right?
change that is give
I'm
the
not
women
saying
the way that you
I'm
change
not,
that is giving a woman the right to her own bodily integrity, the same right that you and I enjoy, the same right that the fetus enjoys.
see, that's where I'm different. I don't believe in taking away the fetus's right to live. Right?
Right, but you are you're not taking away the fetus's right to live, right?
If you
You're taking
kill it,
away
you
you're
are.
taking away the fetus's right to use the resources of somebody who does not consent to give their resources.
So to kill it,
No, not to kill it.
to end its life. Yes, that's what you're doing with an abortion.
Sure, if it can't survive on its own, sure.
So yeah, okay. Wait, at what age can a baby survive at its own?
Well, I don't know I don't know in utero at what point it can survive outside of the womb. I don't know.
Exactly. So can I just, like, outside of the womb, if my baby can't survive on its own, I can just kill it then and there? Because I don't
Outside of the
consent
womb?
to...
No.
Yeah. So what's
No,
the
you
difference
cannot.
between inside the womb, though?
No, you can't, because now you've changed, right? Like now there you can choose whether or not you want to raise that child. You can choose whether or not you want to take care of that child. But that child is no longer hooked to you as the mother. That child is no longer using your resources. So
Still
now
very
you can
dependent on
now you can decide, and you make the choice, and you use your own freedom to decide, do I want to take care of this child, or should I give this child up for adoption?
But are you going to kill it then?
No, you can't do that.
Exactly.
Exactly.
That's my point.
Your point is stupid, because the point is inside of the womb, the woman,
can kill it.
you're forcing the woman
you can
to
kill it.
use
You can say
you're
it.
forcing the woman to give her resources, right? You
Okay,
are
so you're outside.
willing to say that the fetus has more rights than the woman, and that the man also has more rights than the woman.
Did not say that.
Yes, you did say that. You
Nope.
just don't know that you're saying that.
I think
if
they
we
have
start
different
with the
roles
idea,
of responsibility.
Caden, if we start with the idea that all people, and I'll grant you that the fetus can have the same rights as all of us.
Sure.
We all have equal rights, correct?
Sure. Yeah.
Can I, if my kidney is failing, can I hook up a tube to you and use your resources without your consent?
No. But you
Okay.
can find a
Now
kidney
let's
from a
say
kidney
let's say
transplant.
that you did give me consent, but then like a week later you're like, yeah, fuck this, I don't want to do this anymore. Can you withdraw that consent?
I would say absolutely not, but I'm not really sure. I
No,
guess.
you can. You don't believe you have the right to withdraw consent once it's given?
Well, I mean, certain situations, right?
What situation can you not withdraw consent?
A pregnancy, like I'm saying. Abortion.
Exactly. So only
Yeah.
one instance, and this means that you don't believe women have equal rights. You believe a fetus has more rights and a man has more rights, but not a woman.
I think, like I said,
You can just what you need to do right now is admit that that's your opinion. That's fine. You can admit that it's your opinion, but don't keep dancing around it like that's not what you're saying.
No, I've said this. I believe you have different responsibilities, right?
I said we're talking about rights, my friend, not responsibilities. Rights and
Different
responsibilities are
responsibilities
different.
within rights.
What's that?
Okay, how? I don't think you can say that I don't care about women's rights at
Yes,
all.
I can, because you're saying that a man has more rights and a fetus has more rights and a woman has less rights. I can say this because I'm laying out exactly why I'm saying this. You can admit it or not, but that's what you're advocating for. The difference between our two viewpoints, Caden, is you start from this idea of everybody has this right to like develop and become a human life. I'm starting with the idea that everybody has equal rights. And I'm granting your fetus the same rights that I have. The same rights. I say
No, you're not, 'cause
everybody
you're
should
saying-
have
no.
equal rights. And any attack on equal rights is an attack on all of us. So when you take away a woman's right to her own bodily integrity, you are saying to women all across the board, there are instances in which you will have less rights than me.
So you're taking away that right. You're saying I'm taking away that right by
Correct.
killing a baby.
No, I'm saying you are
Nope.
taking
That's what you're
away.
saying.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. The
But how
woman
are
can
you, how
the
would
woman
you
can
how would
still
you grant
choose.
that right back?
No. The woman can choose whatever she wants to do. That's the right. You have the right to your own bodily integrity. If you woke up from a nap and I had hooked myself into you, I had a tube running into you and I was draining your resources, do you believe you have the right to self-defense? Do you believe you have the right to fight back against me? Or do you just have to lay there and let me take your resources?
I don't think that has any relevance to what we're
It
talking
has
about
every
whatsoever.
relevance.
I don't
It's
think
the
it does,
exact
no.
same thing. If you woke up and I was attached to your body and I was taking your resources, do you have the right to unalive me?
Like I
You're
said,
goddamn right you do. You're goddamn right you do. You know that you do. You know this, but you're cornered
like I
right now
said,
and you don't
you're
want to
comparing
admit it.
this- You're comparing that situation to ending a life. Is what I have a problem
I'm
with, right?
saying, do you have the right to end my life?
At that point in time,
Yeah.
that's a completely
Do you
unrealistic
have the
scenario.
right to end my life
That
at
is
that
an
point in time?
unrealistic scenario.
Do
Sorry.
you have the right to end my life at that particular time?
If you were to hook up to
Jesus
me
Christ,
and
this is
drain,
not a hard question.
If your scenario makes no sense. If you're going to hook
How
up
does
to
it
me
not
and
make
drain my
sense?
natural resources,
Do I need to simplify it? You're asleep.
I'm
you were
saying
having
it has
you
no
had a nice
relevance to what we're
nappy
talking
nap.
about.
You laid down with your favorite stuffed animal. It was a warm day. You covered up in a blanket. You took a nice little nappy nap. You woke up and you were like, "Holy shit, what's this?" And I'm standing over you and there's tubes coming out of you. You're like, "What is this?" I'm like, "I'm using your resources now. I needed some of your blood. I needed some of your kidney function. I'm using this now. And since I'm using this and I need this to survive, you can't do a goddamn thing about it."
But what action did I consent to letting you do that, right?
You consented. It doesn't matter what
To
you
taking a nap?
consented to.
No,
it doesn't
no, that's what
matter.
sex is,
No,
though.
it doesn't
That's what
matter.
sex is.
No,
Yes,
no,
it
no,
is.
no, no.
We're
It
going
doesn't.
back to what
No,
you're saying.
because you're not consenting to have a child. A woman can consent to whatever the fuck she wants to consent to.
You already
so
said
if she only
no.
consent, yes, and I'll bring this back. If she only consents to sex, or even if she consents to have a baby and changes her mind later, it does not matter. Consent matters. She can change her mind. She
So,
can do
if
whatever she wants because nobody has the right to your resources.
So if I attempt to unalive somebody, and I'm all ready to do it, right? And then I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, never mind, I'm not going to do that. I'll still be charged with attempted murder, correct?
Not if it was justified, right? If it was self-defense.
But what if it wasn't justified?
Well, then it's not analogous.
Then I just changed my mind and I'm free to go.
Then it's
right?
not analogous.
But then I just changed my mind.
No,
and
it's not analogous. Do you know what that word means?
I actually don't. I'm sorry.
Okay, so I am saying that an abortion is essentially self-defense.
See,
It is you saying you do not have this fetus does not have the right to my resources. So in order for your scenario to be analogous, you need to be defending yourself.
So, but I'm going to bring this back to earlier. We both agreed that when having sex, you are consenting, to the possibility of having a child.
No, you're consenting to sex.
You said that earlier, though.
No. I said
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
I
I
believe
said
you
you're
did.
consenting. No, what I said is you're consenting to a process that could end or could result in a pregnancy.
Correct. Yeah.
By the way, you don't really believe in consent because you're cool with like no exceptions. So I don't know why we're talking about consent, but we'll do it for now. Yes, you are consenting to something that could result in a pregnancy, but you're not consenting to being pregnant. You're not consenting to have a child.
How is that not the same thing? How is not consenting to a result
So we've
of
got to
something?
talk about so we got to talk
Okay,
about consent
how
here.
is-
So
No.
Do you know
what
what
I'm saying is
do you know what
you're-
informed
you're
consent
saying
is? Do you know what
that-
informed consent is? We just have to figure out consent because I don't think you get consent.
No.
What's
I'm
consent?
What I'm saying, consent is basically being willing to do something, right?
Okay. So if a woman has sex and she's not willing to carry a child to term, is she consenting to carry a child to term?
I would say not. No.
Okay, so there you go. That's why.
But she's consenting
was-
to sex, which
That's
is the
all
result.
she was consenting to.
But we said earlier If you
No,
consent
because
to sex,
abortion. Wait,
you're
abortion
consenting to
exists.
the result
Abortion exists.
of a possible pregnancy.
Abortion exists. She entered into this agreement knowing that abortion exists, that she has the ability to get an abortion. She's consenting only to sex. And even if she consented to the possibility of having a baby, even if at that point she was like, yeah, if I have a baby, I'll keep it, and later on changed her mind, she still has the ability to do that because you can withdraw consent.
Sure, and that's, yeah. I get what you're saying. I really do. But I'm just saying that
You're
I
just
don't know
saying
if
that
you-
you think your opinion should be the law.
that's not what I said at all. I just, overall, I think that killing an innocent baby is wrong.
And I think that forcing somebody to use their resources without their consent is wrong.
So you would think consent is more important than unaliving somebody?
No, I think bodily integrity is more important. And if somebody imposes on my bodily integrity without my consent, I have the right to act in self-defense.
So if a baby punches you,
Is this baby? No, this baby is not using my resources. This is the part you keep missing. The baby is not using your resources without your consent once it's out of the womb.
my general point, like I've stated.
Nope. Respond to what I just said. I need you to understand the difference here. Do
Okay,
you
go ahead again.
understand that a fetus, a developing baby, a baby that is still inside the mother,
Living.
that baby is literally using the resources of the mother, right?
Oh, for sure.
Okay, now when that baby is out, can that baby survive without using the resources of that mother?
Still has to use resources of somebody.
Can it survive without using the resources of that mother?
Cannot.
Cannot. Thank you.
Nope.
Okay.
So that's where it's. So what's the difference between a baby inside the womb and baby outside the womb? It's not connected, but it's still
Oh my
using
Christ.
resources,
I'll
correct?
try one more time. Inside the womb, that baby is totally reliant on the resources of the mother. Outside of the womb, that baby is reliant on whoever their caretaker is.
Sure, yeah. I agree
And
with
there is consent, and there is no unwilling giving of their bodily integrity. There's no
Yeah, I get what you're
there's no
saying.
infringement on their rights at that point.
I get
These
what
are
you're
all
saying.
these are all consensual agreements. These are all consensual relationships.
I really get where your argument's coming from, but I just stand firm in the fact that unaliving somebody.
That's fine,
and
but
that's what I'm saying.
That's
and
fine,
that's
but
where
then
I'm
you
standing,
also have
right?
to admit that you do not believe in equal rights for everybody. You have to then admit that you don't believe women have the same rights as men and a fetus.
I don't think.
Yeah,
I don't
because it
think that's
sounds
what
it
this
sounds stupid to say it, and you don't want to say it because you don't think that's your belief. But
If-
we just
if
laid
you
out
think-
that
if you-
absolutely is your belief.
If you think that's my belief,
No, it
I-
is your belief. This isn't a think. Do you believe that anybody is allowed to use your bodily integrity without your consent?
okay, like I said, we're
This
going.
is a simple question.
Nope.
Okay,
we've already
do you
talked about
believe that
this.
anybody is able to use the bodily integrity of a fetus without consent?
Okay, I'm gonna say something here. Just bear
No,
with
can
me
you
for a
please?
second.
Nope.
bear with me.
You don't get to
Bear
run
with
from
me.
this.
Bear with
Caden,
me.
I will give you an opportunity to talk. I'm asking you questions
All
right
right.
now. Do you
All right.
believe a fetus has that same right?
Yeah.
Okay, but you don't believe a woman does. Do you understand now that you don't believe women have equal rights?
Like I said, if that's what.
Oh my God, dude, you are so dishonest. Just be fucking honest. No, dude, if you're gonna come on here and have these views, at least be honest. The best, at the very least, you as probably a Christian conservative. Like, are you Christian?
Yeah.
Okay, do you believe in being honest?
Yeah, for sure.
It's time for you to be honest, pal. You don't believe women have the same rights. Be honest.
Okay, if you sure whatever, but
Not sure, whatever. Yes or no.
my point of view, and that's
Do
what
you
I'm trying to
believe
explain to you,
women
man.
should have all the same rights as men and fetuses?
Obviously, yes.
Obviously not, though, right? Not the right to their own bodily integrity, right?
All right, I'll just give you this.
No, answer the question, dude. You don't get to run away from this because you don't like
I'm
it.
not trying to run away from
You're
it.
absolutely trying to run away from
You
it.
said
I'm
you'd let
asking
me
you a
talk
very
here.
simple question.
You said you'd let me
This is
talk.
so simple, dude.
Can I talk?
What you can talk when you answer the question. You don't get to
I'm
just
trying to
dodge
answer
the
the
question
question.
for 20 minutes and then not.
I'm trying to answer the question.
So let's do it one more time. You believe that women have less rights than men and a fetus, correct?
If we can move on for this, yes.
Why? Okay, great. Yes.
Because I'm trying to explain to you. I'm going back to my original point, and I'm standing on this, right? I'm standing on the fact that, one, when you consent to sex, you consent to having a baby in general.
Nope. You know what
Yes,
consent?
that's
No,
the
no,
result.
no. That's not consent, dude.
But what's the result?
That's
What is
that's
a result
forced consent.
of
No,
sex?
that's forced consent.
What's the result of sex?
It depends.
Pleasure and pregnancy.
Again, depends.
So
Some people
you
might
are
not get
consenting to
pleasure
that.
from it.
So that's where I'm standing, right?
Yeah, I understand, but you're now talking about forced consent. You're saying that nobody's allowed to have sex for pleasure. They have to have sex, and consequences be damned. If a baby shows up, a baby shows up, and you're just stuck. And even if you don't consent to having sex, in your world, you don't even have to consent to having sex. Somebody can just show up and be like, "I want a baby. I want a baby, so I'm going to use this woman as a receptacle, and that woman is now going to be an incubator, and because sex doesn't matter, I now am going to have a child." You get that right? No, that's what you're setting up because you allow for no exceptions. You're essentially saying to women, no matter what, if you consent to sex or don't consent to sex, no matter what, you're having that baby. And if a man wants to make a baby with you, that man can make a baby with you as long as that man can overpower you.
That's not at all what I'm saying.
That's literally your fucking opinion, dude. I know you don't view it this way because you like to hold your opinion in a good light, but when you offer no exceptions, you're literally telling women you are receptacles for men and you are incubators for men and you have no rights in any of this. The only person that has a right in your world is the man who decides to use this woman as a receptacle and an incubator, and that man gets to pick and choose which incubator they like best.
Like I said, my whole point is based on the fact that killing a baby is wrong. That is my whole point.
Yeah, but that's your only point is that you think that. The other part of your point.
I think that's the most
but you have
important
another
point.
but you have another point. Your other point is that women have less rights than men, which you've already admitted to. And not only do they have less rights, they appear to not have the right to consent at all. You don't think women should even have the right to consent because the repercussions of them not consenting and being abused is still the same. They have to have a baby.
No, sure. All right.
Yeah, sure. So you just don't think women should have equal rights?
I think, all right, man. I think that you're kind of twisting that, and I don't think that
I'm showing
women
you the
should not
flaws
have-
in your shitty fucking logic.
I still think that killing a baby is wrong.
But that's
and
because
where I'm
that's
standing,
because that's because you don't give
I
a
think that
fuck
outweighs
about
everything.
what anybody else thinks. You're just going to come on and have your opinion no matter what. You don't care if women get hurt.
Yes,
you don't
I
care.
do.
You don't care if a 13-year-old has to carry the baby of her uncle who
See,
assaulted her.
that's where
You don't
you're
care if that.
twisting.
You don't care if
That's
that
where you're
13-year-old's
twisting.
life is forever ruined. You don't care.
That's where you're twisting it.
I'm
How
not
can you
twisting
say
it.
I
You
don't
don't. You
care?
said no exceptions. Those are your words.
But you're not remembering.
Remembering
That-
what?
My whole point is based on the fact that killing an innocent life is wrong.
I understand that that's your point, but your point
That's
is,
my whole
but
point.
Your,
That's
your
all
point
I'm
is
saying, right?
also your point is also that women don't have equal rights. You have both points. You're making both of your points
Sure, if that
because you don't think
if
you don't
that
think an
point
abortion
means-
should happen. In order for this to work, you have to take away the rights of women. You have to take away their rights to their bodily integrity and their right to consent. In order for your narrative to work, women lose a lot of rights, dude.
Sure, and I get what you're saying, but
Yeah, well, think about that. Think about that when you talk about how Christian you are next time. Think about that next time when you brag about your morals and you stand on your high horse. Just remember that you don't think women should have the rights to consent to having a child. that it's okay, like that they can just be receptacle incubators. Just think about that the next time you want to brag about what a good Christian you are.
Okay, well, I just want to say, first time going live, and I appreciate you talking with me. I honestly haven't done a ton of research on it. I'm just going on it from my moral perspective. But I do appreciate your time. So,
all right, brother. We'll see you.
Yep. Bye.
All right. All right. Whisper's mad at me because I turned this into a panel. I got to switch that now. I was just trying to get rid of that. I think I need to go to that. Is it that right there? All right. Neat. Won't let me even change it. Look, I'm not doing a panel. Absolutely not. I don't do panels here, so I'm sorry. I need everybody that's in the box that was coming up that's not opposition to drop. I apologize. If this is your first time here, it's just how I do it. I do 1v1. If I feel like I get stuck and so there's an expert, I'll sometimes bring them up, but I just don't do panels. So if you're in the panel or if you're in the box and you're not opposition, if you could drop out, that'll make this a lot easier. I'm just going to have to be kind of maybe a bully today, I guess. Terrence, you're next. Let me fix this layout. I don't know why it's doing this. There we go. Hey, Terrence. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. No, Terrence. Nate Cisco. It's crazy that this is going to be the topic today, apparently. Hey, Nate.
Hello, how you doing?
Good, Nate. Are you opposition?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, cool. What do you want to talk about?
Like when you were talking to him, I know it's kind of going around in a circle. I don't believe it's equal rights. I believe women have more rights. Because the guy has no right. A guy has no right, has no say in anything at all. If the guy wants to have a child and the girl doesn't, the child's still born. The guy still has to make payments. He has to do everything.
Yep.
So it's not. There's never going to be equal rights, right? So
no, there is equal rights.
That's not equal rights. How's that?
Why
equal
not?
Rights?
Why is that not equal rights?
Because the guy has no say.
In what?
He doesn't have a right.
He doesn't have a say in what?
If the baby's being born or not.
Correct. So he doesn't have the right to demand that somebody else's body be used for something that he wants. You're right. Yeah. Nobody has the right to that.
Yeah, but it's also the guy's. I'm not saying the guy's body's being used, but his parts are being used.
What's that? No. Parts of him were used, but now they're not. As the baby is growing,
say in those parts. He has no say.
What's that?
So he has no say in those parts.
Correct. He has no say in what a woman chooses to do with her own bodily integrity. Correct.
So do you believe in
does a woman have a right to tell you what to do with your body?
No.
No. Does a woman have a right to tell a fetus what to do with their body?
No.
Okay, so women have less rights in your view.
Yeah. Well,
got it.
I mean,
thank you. Appreciate you saying that.
So do you believe that you can have a late term abortion, or are you pro that?
What does pro that
mean?
Do I think it should be
stipulations on it? Like,
are you asking me? Do I think it should be allowed?
It be allowed?
Yes.
Outside of medical conditions, it should not be allowed.
I don't think I should. I or the government or you should have any knowledge of why a late term abortion happens. It's none of our goddamn business. It is the woman and her right to her bodily integrity, and she chooses whether or not she wants to give resources to that fetus.
Yeah, I don't know, because at late term, you should be able to make a decision, right? I mean, at that point.
Yeah, but I don't think the government or you and I should be involved in that decision.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why there can't be stipulations on it, like
because I don't want me or you or the government involved in that decision.
Yeah, but I don't know. I can't.
Do you want the government involved in that decision?
No, I mean, I don't want the government.
So then I guess we agree. We agree, right? The thing is, too, Nate, like that's a silly, like the amount of abortions that take place late term for no reason. I don't know what the number is, but it's like almost zero, right? When you think about this realistically, do you really think women are going to carry a baby like 8 months and then be like, fuck it? It doesn't happen very often. But even if it did, even if that scenario did happen, on the rare occasion that would maybe happen, even in that scenario, It's still a woman choosing not to give up her bodily integrity. I have no right to an opinion there, and the government should not be involved.
Yeah, it's just hard because, you know, like some women, I mean, they use it as a form of birth control pretty much. I mean, it's
No, that's silly. Nobody does that.
no,
That's
yeah,
dude. That's so silly. Do
it's
you
not
understand?
silly.
No, dude. The toll that takes on a woman's body, even just like even just a few weeks in, even just like chemical, like even if we're not talking about an actual operation, a medical procedure, the toll that takes on a woman's body is massive. You really think that's what women want to do? But even if you were right, even if that's why they used it,
It
it's still their
happens.
body. I still don't think you get an opinion, and I still don't think the government should be involved.
Yeah, but it happens a lot. Trust me.
You don't
Certain,
know
certain.
what are your statistics on that?
I
Show
don't
me
know.
what are your statistics on women who have who use abortions as birth control? Because you said it happens a lot. Trust me.
I would say statistically, if a girl
Not
has,
what you would say. I'd like to see a statistic.
well, I'd have to look it up, but but my
What should I look up? I've got Google in front of me. What should I Google?
Google how many, if a girl has an abortion, how many, what are the percentages of them having more than one in their
Well, that wouldn't be as a form of birth control. That could be for a lot of different reasons. That could be because they have health. That could be because being pregnant could be a risk to their life. So when they found out they were pregnant and they didn't want to risk their life, they had
That's a
an abortion.
medical condition. That's a medical
That could
condition.
yeah. So but that could be included in people who have had multiple abortions. So that statistic you're asking me to Google wouldn't prove your point.
I guess there's no way to look it up then. I mean,
There isn't a way to look that up without the government being very, very involved. So if you're advocating that the government make the decisions for women on when they cannot have an abortion, I think that's crazy. I don't think the government should be involved in that.
I personally know a lot. I mean, I've heard a lot of stories of
Yeah,
girls
you've heard a lot of
using it for
I
that.
like how you changed that. You've heard a lot of stories. And you
Well,
know what? Every Republican says the same shit every time, but every time I ask for a statistic on that, nobody can give me one. It seems almost like you guys just all keep repeating something and now you think it's true.
All right, if we move on to a different topic, gun
Sure.
control.
Sure.
So, you believe that they should make it a lot harder to be able to get a gun and this and
Nope.
that, right? Or is that your
Nope.
belief?
Nope.
Or you think what's your belief on it?
I believe that if we want to solve gun control, if Republicans care about keeping their guns, and I have a gun, by the way, I'm not a big fan of like most laws. I think it's good to keep the guns out of people who shouldn't have guns. I think it's really difficult to do. I think even with red flag laws, I think even with universal background checks, it's very, very difficult to do. I think we have a problem, especially when it comes to school violence. Right now, I understand that's not the overwhelming majority, but every time that happens, more and more people in this country are just going to be like, I can't see this shit anymore. Fuck it, take them. Right. So I think you and I could probably agree that the number one issue in this country when it comes to violence is mental health. Right.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
I
So
agree
what
with
I
that.
think Republicans should do is get on
Or
board
crazy.
with universal health care and universal mental health care. And if we could take care of the mental health problems we have in this country, as well as income inequality, I think the rate of violence would drop significantly, specifically school violence. If these kids had access to mental health, ready access to mental health, their parents did too. You don't have to worry about, do their parents have enough money? Are their parents even aware of this? I think we could see a drastic drop in violence, and people would stop coming for your guns.
Most parents are in denial of their kids having mental health, and
Exactly.
they're not gonna catch on when they're 14, 15 years old. They're just gonna, you know what I mean? They find out later in life they get into drugs or whatever, and that they have mental health issues or whatever, the case may be. But I strongly, I believe that gun should never go away. And people with felons, like people in the city, like I live in a bad city. I live in a suburb of the city, but right outside. I mean, it's a 5-minute drive.
Sure.
And there's a ton of violence per capita. We're gotta be one of the worst in the country. And they're gonna have guns no matter what. And if they're gonna have guns, we need to have guns. Like there's like the Second Amendment. Like there's nothing should be taken away from that ever.
So
Like,
this
ever.
is where like I changed a little bit. I used to be Republican. I definitely I'm not anymore. When I probably held that same line of thinking. Not that you're wrong. Nothing that you said there is wrong. Everything you said, I agree with. I think the difference is I look at it more of like how do we fix that problem. When you look at places that are violence, when you look at places where there's a lot of gang violence, where there's a lot of drug related violence, you're looking at generally communities who are underserved and are very poor. And so if we can do something to add value to those communities and also provide a way for underserved and poor communities to make more money and have less income inequality, then I think that would also drastically reduce violence. There's a lot of stuff we've done in poor communities. Poor communities are over policed. Poor communities are underfunded. Poor communities have many more drug problems. You wind up with more convicted felons, so that means you have less opportunity for people to get like good jobs, and it's just this vicious cycle. So I just look at it as like there are ways to address this, and I have a problem that Republican solution for as long as I was a Republican and up until now seems to be let's get more weapons, let's get more violent, let's have more police presence, let's become more authoritative, more authoritarian. And all the things that I think we could do to fix it, Republicans seem to be against.
So I'm sure this is the same with a lot of cities, but so like I said, again, the city where I live, it's violent. And like
Do you want to say what city or no?
Sure, Rochester, New York, upstate New York. So I'd say I'm in like the bad part of the city with a 5-minute drive, right?
Okay.
So I drive Uber part-time, okay? So I speak to all these people all the time, and I'm in the hood all the time when I drive Uber because, they're always, working back. They all use it as transportation. I had to do it part-time, like on the weekends or at night or whatever.
Sure.
Sometimes early in the morning. But anyways, they like these in this community, they don't beside the suburbs, which are right outside is, some of them are wealthy, some of them are, middle class, but right in the city, they don't seem like change doesn't seem to be they're stuck in their ways. They don't want change. They want to keep selling drugs on the street. They want to keep that form of lifestyle.
Well, what other option do they have?
Lifestyle.
What other option do they have?
To move out.
Yeah, and is that expensive?
But if they move out, the city's still going to be bad.
Exactly. So what do you think we could do? Couldn't we make those communities a little better?
I mean, we could. It's that's a tough task because I mean
it's honestly not that tough. It honestly
people that don't want to change, right?
Dude, yes, you don't change people, you change their environment, and then people change. We've seen this done before. We've seen it not in our country because unfortunately we have this two-side political system where we don't want to serve under. Yeah, but I can tell you what, your side doesn't give a shit about poor people, doesn't give a shit about places that are violent. They just want more cops and more violence, and you want to blame those people. And that's fine. You can do that. You can do that forever, and it will continue to never fix the problem. Or we can be realistic and say, what's the most likely way we could fix this problem? Okay, well, let's help people be more educated. Let's help people make a little bit more money. Let's maybe increase funding for these schools. Let's maybe stop arresting people for weed. Maybe let's maybe stop putting people away for 20 years for drug offenses, for just doing drugs. Right? There's a lot of things we could do, but Republicans are against all of it.
Yeah, I get it, but what makes somebody poor? I'm married, I work my ass off. I mean, I have a lot of bills. My wife works, her 40-hour job. We can't even save that much money, but at the end of the month, each month, we put a little bit away, but we're working our asses off, right?
Yeah. So you know why? Because your party insists on giving tax breaks. Your party insists on giving tax breaks to rich people and giving corporate welfare nonstop and doing nothing for the middle class and doing nothing for poor people. Wealth inequality is growing by leaps and bounds. If you want to keep working do you really think do you think you work harder than Elon Musk?
No, but I have a
I
brother
guarantee
that's
fucking T you work harder than Elon Musk. Elon Musk spends like 8 hours a day on Twitter. He's out doing like photo ops at the border now. Elon Musk doesn't really do that much. You work way harder than him.
understand.
Why does he
So
get to
that's
make billions of dollars?
he set that self up for himself smart, you know. Like,
Yeah, he worked a flawed system, a system that allows you to build massive wealth off of the backs of everybody else's labor. That's what happened. We have a
but the
system that is
Democrats set up
we have a
this tax
system that is
system, man.
we have a system that is unjust. We have a system that doesn't work.
I
We have a
have
system that incentivizes people building massive amounts of wealth off the back of other people's labor.
So I have one sibling. He's a top 1% earner, which is like I think like over $620,000 a year.
Yeah.
You know, right now it's literally gone up 200,000 in the last 4 years. But he's a top 1% earner, and he gets killer tax breaks. Okay, he finds, you know, he finds a tax company that he pays 25,000 a year to, and then he has to pay about a fifth that he would pay if he just went through a normal tax person. Okay.
Yep.
That's what they're doing. The Democrats set up that tax system, just like Donald Trump said. He said, I'm
Bro,
using the system that you set up.
bro, no, stop that. Stop that right now. The Democrats set up that tax system. What are you talking about?
Okay, they could have changed it. You telling me?
So could the
you're telling me Joe
Republicans, but
Biden
they
and Hillary
didn't.
Clinton couldn't have changed
But
it
Donald
over the
Trump,
million years of power?
Donald Trump could have changed this. Why didn't he? You're talking about the guy who went in there and said like, "Hey,
The same reason Hillary Clinton
hold on,
did.
hold on. No. Let me finish. Donald Trump campaigned on it's a rigged system and I'm going to fix it. I don't remember somebody else campaigning on that. I don't remember Hillary Clinton campaigning on that. Donald Trump made a promise and he said it's a rigged system and I'm going to fix it. And then he had 2 years of full control. And all he did is give all the rich people tax breaks that didn't expire and gave the middle class a tax break that did expire. He deregulated, which makes it easier for massive corporations to stomp on the middle class, to stomp on small business, to stomp on medium-sized business. He did, and under Donald Trump, we had the largest transfer of wealth from the middle class to the top 1% in the history of our country. Nobody has ever provided an opportunity for rich to get richer and the middle class to suffer more than Donald Trump, under Donald Trump.
That has more to do with the digital pivot, dude. That's all it is.
It also had to do with it also had to do with the fact that there were people in position who are propped up by corporate welfare and paid no taxes, who were in position for this to happen. They've been creating this position with Democrats and Republicans for a very, very long time. The difference here, Nate, is like there are Democrats who still like this system. I agree with you. But all of the Republicans do. The entirety of the Republican Party wants to cut taxes, give breaks to rich people, and there's at least some people in the Democrat Party who recognize this is a rigged system and they're trying to fix it. But nobody in the GOP is trying to fix this. Can you point to one person in the GOP who is saying we have to stop this corporate welfare? We need to tax the rich. We need to get that money back into circulation.
They're all lining their pockets. So
exactly. But I could name a bunch of Democrats who say that. Katie Porter, AOC, Rashida Tlaib.
Yeah, I don't think they really mean it. But
I don't give a fuck what they mean, dude. This is the thing. See, when I bring up a point, you just want to dismiss it so you can keep voting for Republicans. Why would you vote for Republicans? You know, you just admitted that the entire party doesn't give a shit about this, and then you're not going to listen. And then you're not going to listen to me when I bring up people who actually are advocating for a system. You're just going to dismiss them. It's like you want the Republicans to just keep like fucking you over. Rather than admit that you were wrong and that these guys don't care about you and they'll never do anything for you, it's like you just want to stay with them for what reason? What do they give you? What do you get from Republicans?
A better economy, man. You're telling me right now that if Trump wasn't in office right now, the
economy would be much worse if Trump was in office. Much worse.
You think we would be much worse right now? Then why weren't we?
We would be way worse.
Look what's going on right now, bro? Look at the war.
Nate. Don't go gish galloping. Let me answer the questions you ask, okay? Okay. We had COVID. COVID caused worldwide inflation. COVID caused worldwide problems everywhere. We are the best. We did the best at recovering from that. Donald Trump took over a booming economy, an economy that had been growing for 6 straight years before he got there. He took over. Now, he lied and said that the economy sucked, but he took over a booming economy and kind of just like, it kind of like kept going a little and then kind of leveled out. And then we had COVID and it all came crashing down. And as a country, we've recovered better than any other country in the world. Donald Trump would not have done this. Donald Trump is remarkably dumb. He didn't run the economy. The president doesn't run the economy. But Donald Trump would not have invested in infrastructure. He would not have provided the COVID relief. He wouldn't have done any of the things that have created the jobs that Democrats have created through the CHIPS Act, through infrastructure. Like, none of this would have happened under Donald Trump. You fundamentally don't understand what happened if you think that the policies that Donald Trump had in place pre-COVID would have led to a recovery like we have now. It wouldn't have happened.
Now we're depending on, what do you mean? We're depending on Russia for oil, right?
Dude,
Like,
you don't
we
even,
wouldn't have to
dude. You're
depend
just
on
grasping at straws. We're
I'm
drilling
really
more.
not. We wouldn't have to depend
We're
on.
drilling more oil now than we ever did under Donald Trump. Did you know that?
No, honestly, I didn't know that. Maybe,
Yeah,
I mean,
it's because Republicans keep lying to you and you
why
just repeat it.
then why is it more expensive?
Well, the reason it got so cheap under Donald Trump towards the end, and you guys like those numbers, is because the world was shut down and it's basic supply and demand. When the world's shut down for COVID, less people are using gas. Supply chains are completely shut down. People aren't traveling as much. People are flying much less. So because there was a big supply and low demand, gas prices dropped. That's why they were so low at the end of the Trump presidency. It had nothing to do with him, right? Gas prices had been fairly stable, but again, we had a worldwide pandemic, which caused all sorts of problems. And then coming out of the pandemic, we have Putin who decides he's going to invade Ukraine. Now we have more instability in the Middle East. And yeah, all of these things come into play for why gas prices are high. And it's disingenuous to be like, well, none of this would happen because if Donald Trump was here, because it didn't happen when Donald Trump was here. Well, Donald Trump wasn't the president post-COVID. He wasn't the president post a worldwide pandemic that shut down the entire world. You can't compare the two things.
A pandemic that dragged on way too long.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah, it
sure.
did. You know why it dragged on so fucking long? Is because Republicans refused to be vaccinated. Republicans refused to keep the rules. That's why a lot of countries got back. That's why a lot of countries got back to business before we did. That's why a lot of countries didn't have the same Omicron strains that we did. That's why they didn't have as many brutal strains of COVID, is because they got vaccinated, they kept the rules, and they largely eradicated it. But here in the United States, because apparently the GOP doesn't understand what vaccines do, we still have problems with it because there's a bunch of people running around who think that the vaccine side effects, which by the way are the same exact side effects that you get from COVID, are somehow unique to the side effects or to the vaccine, and so they're afraid of a vaccine despite statistically not knowing that they are more safe being vaccinated than unvaccinated. But they just get lied to and they believe anything and everything. That's why it went on too long.
Yeah, but I mean, like you said, it's your choice to get, whatever.
It is your choice, but don't say it went on too long like it wasn't your team's fault. You guys are the reason that this kept going. So don't blame us. We kept the rules. We got vaccinated. We did everything we were trying to do.
Made the rules. Like, you made the rules.
We made the rules when Donald Trump was in office. Okay, got it.
You made once.
What a pushover Donald Trump
Biden
was,
came in
huh?
office, it was. They pushed it. They just pushed the vaccines like you had to get it.
Yeah,
Like,
you know
made a
why?
law.
Because vaccines are a good way to eradicate disease. In fact, vaccines are the most effective way to eradicate diseases. That's why we pushed it. Just science. And you guys are like, I don't like anything that's pushed, so I'm immediately against it. Okay, great.
I don't know.
Thanks for extending COVID for longer than it needed to be extended.
They don't push the flu vaccine, and now they're just giving out the COVID vaccine just right with the flu vaccine, and like they're just.
Bro, what does that mean?
You want this? You want this?
Explain why that point. Explain why that point is relevant. Explain why that's relevant.
I'm just saying, like they're just.
Yeah, you're just saying.
pushing.
Explain why it's relevant.
I guess it's not, but
It's
like
not.
it got dragged on too long, and the Democrats made the rules,
Yeah, and you guys refuse to follow them just because they're Democrats. The Republicans, this Republican idea that any of you guys think for yourselves or are free thinkers is absolutely insane. You all chose to be anti-science because the Democrats are bad. You didn't think for yourselves. You didn't think. You didn't look at there's no data in the world that says there's no data that would say that like being unvaccinated is better than being vaccinated. No data in the world. You can show me all the side effects from the COVID vaccine that you want to, and I'll show you that those side effects are the same fucking side effects that you get from COVID, except for if you get it from COVID instead of the vaccine, it's like 10 times worse.
I think it should have been mandated for older people or people that are
did you hear what I said?
Yeah,
I don't care. I know what your mandate ideas are, but my question to you is why you chose to take the side that isn't backed by statistics or science or history. And it seems to be that the only thing you have an issue with is you don't like Democrats.
I got the 2 initial shots, and then I didn't get no boosters, nothing like that.
Why?
I didn't get 2 initial shots.
Why didn't you get boosted? Yeah.
Why am I not boosted?
Yeah.
I'm healthy. I'm in good shape. I feel like there's other ways to like eradicate this. Go to the gym, take care of yourself. Like
none of those are ways to eradicate. You could get your booster and do all that shit. If you were boosted and did that shit, you'd be better off than if you just did that shit. You can do both. You don't have to choose one or the other. You can just do them both. You can be healthy, you can eat healthy, you can get sunshine, you can take care of your heart, you can take care of your lungs and be boosted. And you're better off then than if you just do the exercise stuff. This is the Joe Rogan science that's going around that I don't understand. Like, yes, it is good to be healthy. Yes, being healthy keeps you protected against diseases. That's true. But so does being vaccinated. So does being boosted. So do them both.
Yeah, I mean, I don't take the flu shot or anything personally.
Well, the flu shot is not the COVID vaccine. It's completely different.
Yeah,
they're different.
A lot of people die from the flu. A lot of people die from
not
COVID.
Even remotely close to the same numbers as COVID. And the flu goes away. It's seasonal. If COVID clearly isn't seasonal because there hasn't been a season when we don't have COVID. You're comparing apples and oranges, dude, for no reason. Do you recognize it on any level that like most of your beliefs are just like shit you've heard?
People aren't dying from COVID right now, left and right. It was a pandemic that happened. They're not. People are. Look up how many people are dying from the flu each year. They're in 2023, and how many people died from COVID. I bet you the numbers wouldn't be too much of a difference.
Wait, hold on. Say that again.
How many people died from COVID in 2023, and how many people died from the flu in 2023?
Okay, and if they are massively different, are you going to admit that you're wrong?
No, it's tough because it depends on the source. They use.
Oh, so you're already looking for nobody. See, this is another thing you're repeating that you've just heard. Who's a good source?
I don't know. Look it up. Just Google it.
Well, anything I Google, you're going to be like, that's a bad source. Right? See, do you see how you set yourself up to not ever have to believe any evidence against you?
Yeah, but you're also not. You don't care.
Did you hear what I said? Can you respond to the things that I said?
I 100% see that, but you also have to understand that you are listening to people just like I'm listening to.
No, I'm not.
You're listening to the side just like
I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm looking at data.
You are.
What's that?
Data that was written by your side. Dude, like people were getting
dude.
People were getting run up for COVID for the dumbest things.
Dude. Your side uses the same data. They just cherry pick it. There's not different places to get the data. The only way you're going to get the data for is from the CDC or from the NIH. And what your side does is they cherry pick that data, but they're all actually getting it from the same place. By the way, in 2023, 8,996. Let's see, this is from October 2022 to January 2023. This is a study looking at the mortality of COVID-19 and influenza. The discrepancy between the two respiratory illnesses declined. The caveat being many more people hospitalized with severe COVID-19 as compared to the flu. 538 days within 30 days for COVID-19 and 76 for seasonal influenza. More than 5 times more deadly. 5 times more likely.
Yeah. When in the last 580 days, that's like was the peak of it. So like the peak
Where did you get that number? It was from
I thought you
October.
said 580 days.
No, 538 deaths. This was comparing COVID versus influenza, which is the flu. 538 versus 76.
Democrat source.
See what I mean, dude? Like, why? Let's get off this subject entirely. Why do you think that your knee-jerk reaction to any time a fact is brought to you, a fact that you asked me to look up, every time I bring you a fact that doesn't agree with you, you dismiss it? I think this is something like, I think this is, I don't know how to explain this. It happened when I was a Republican. I was like this when I was a Republican. It's a knee-jerk reaction. I think, honest to God, you're afraid to be wrong. That's what I honestly think. You're afraid to admit you've been duped.
I'm not afraid to be wrong.
Then why, when I provide evidence, do you just dismiss it?
Because I feel like that evidence was written by one side. And
exactly.
Everything.
Feel like. So this is how this works. This is how propaganda and brainwashing works. You've been taught. It's somewhere along the line somebody taught you that, or you've been conditioned to believe that everything that doesn't agree with your opinion is fake news. And you get to immediately dismiss it, and it never has to enter your head, which is why you've come on here now for 20 minutes and not said a goddamn thing. And everything that you've brought up, I've brought every single thing you've asked me to look up. I've brought up every topic we've talked about. I've brought up statistics that back me and not you. And every single time you dismiss it without you having any information. Why are you obsessed with being a Republican, despite not being able to explain what your beliefs are based on?
I mean, dude, the reason that I'm a Republican is like, not the reason, but you got to understand, like, the world was in a better place when we had a Republican.
Oh my God! Nope. Stopping you again. Hold on. You're not even close to answering my questions. Hold on. You're not even close. And let me ask it again, because I think you missed it. Why are you so convinced that your side is right when you can provide no data and I can provide you counter data that says you're wrong? Why are you convinced?
Because, dude, this data is coming from the left, dude. Every late night host, every celebrity, everyone.
Why do you think the left is lying? 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 Why do you just assume that because it comes from the left, it's a lie? By the way, this isn't from a left-leaning source. This is literally from Infectious Diseases Today. This is not a left-leaning source that I'm looking at. There is no political bias here at all. But why do you assume that just because it comes from the left that it's wrong?
Because the Democrats, they lie. They lie about everything.
You've literally, like, honest God, man to man here.
It's sick how much they lie.
Man, name one lie. I'll give you an opportunity to give me. I will give you one. I will give you an opportunity because there's so many. I'll give you an opportunity to name one lie. If you can't name that lie, hold on, brother, hold on. If you can't name, hold on, Nate, calm down, Nate. Just pick one lie, and we'll go from there. And if hold on, almost done. What are we going to do? Nate, what are we going to do at the end of this when I prove that it wasn't a lie? What are you going to do?
I'm not going to do anything. But
are you going to change your mind, or are you going to leave and just assume that it doesn't matter?
I'm trying to impeach Trump for his.
That's not the question I asked. That's not the question I asked. The question I asked is, when you're proven wrong here, are you going to admit that, or are you too arrogant to admit when you're wrong?
I'm not arrogant.
Okay,
at all.
So pick a lie.
I just said we'll go with Russia collusion.
So what specifically is the lie? What was lied about?
Interfering on the election.
Okay. Do you know what
election interference?
Okay, so when you say Russia collusion, I assume you're talking about the Mueller report, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what was Mueller tasked to investigate?
We do a lot of things.
We'll just stick on this one. What was Mueller tasked to investigate?
If there was collusion in the election.
No, the word collusion's not anywhere in there. What he was tasked to investigate was any and all connections between members of the Trump team and Russia. That was his investigation. Did he find any connections between the Trump team and Russia?
Nothing, no hard evidence, no.
No, well, he found lots of hard evidence, and a lot of people lied. There were 35 indictments. There was plenty of evidence that people that worked for the Trump team were in consistent contact, and some of them had. And some, hold on, and some of them had financial dealings in Russia. So where's the lie?
That there wasn't collusion. They didn't had nothing. To do
Again,
with
collusion. Collusion's not a crime. It's okay to collude. Robert Mueller was not.
Why did
he was not investigating collusion? The reason you say collusion,
they're all hoax, man.
The reason you say collusion is because you heard Donald Trump repeatedly say Russian collusion, and you've heard Republicans specifically say Russian collusion. Collusion's not a crime. That's a dumb claim. But what Robert Mueller did find is that there were plenty of connections between the Trump team and Russia, and that's what he investigated, and that's what he found, and he got 35 indictments. So you were wrong about that.
And nothing happened with any of them.
Actually, Paul Manafort and Michael Flynn, both members of Trump's team, went to jail. They were convicted. Well, I think they actually just admitted it. I don't even know if they were. I think they pled guilty. They didn't even lose a court case. They just pled guilty, and then they went to jail. So now what do we do?
I don't know about that, but I don't know.
You don't know that Michael Flynn. You don't know that Michael Flynn and Paul Manafort went to jail over the Mueller investigation. I know
they went to jail, but I don't know how they pled or whatever. If they just
they went to jail, right? So again, where was the lie?
I don't know. I guess the lie is that the Democrats can control a lot more.
Do you recognize that you're getting your pants pulled down, man? This should be a little more it's embarrassing for honestly, if somebody proves me wrong and if somebody proved you wrong, I think you should be man enough to just be like, okay, I don't know. But you're going to leave this with the same amount of confidence you showed up with, despite the fact that you've been wrong about everything.
In your opinion,
not my opinion, dude. This isn't my opinion.
It is, because that's what
you literally no. These are statistics. You have opinions. I have statistics, and you are unwilling because it's got to be a pride thing. I don't know what it is. It's got to be a pride thing, but you're unwilling to admit that you're wrong.
Half the country agrees with me. Half the country agrees with you.
First of all, half the country doesn't agree with you, but there are people that voted. Half the country didn't even vote, dude. So half the country doesn't agree with you. It might be 20 to 30%, but I do this every single day, and I find that the reason I'm good at arguing against Republicans is because literally all of you use the same words and the same arguments and no facts. So I've done this a million times. I've yet to have a Republican come on here and use any sort of statistics to fight what you're saying right now. But then they leave and they go and they watch a Trump rally and they see Fox News and they see all their buddies on Facebook and they think, oh, well, I couldn't possibly be wrong because they're all right. But you all are wrong. You've all been duped. There's been massive groups of this in this world historically that have been wrong. Massive groups. If you remember Germany in the 1930s, there were a lot of people that had some bad ideas that went along with things that they thought they were right about. Historically, in this country, we've had a lot of people go along with ideas that were wrong and that they were wrong about. You happen to be in probably the single dumbest political movement that has ever existed. It's a political movement that is literally based on lies and propaganda. And day after day, I pick through these, and you guys still leave day after day after coming up with no facts and no rebuttal to anything I say, and then you just leave and you're like, oh yeah, we're still right. What are we supposed to do with you guys?
The second Trump
can you guys act like humans?
Trump was the American dream, right?
See, there we go. Right. Yeah, he inherited $250 million from his dad, and then he largely largely fucked it up. Yeah, we get it. He's mad at him.
How did he fuck up $250 million to become worth $3.6 billion?
He's not worth Hey, brother, he's not worth anywhere near $3.6 billion. That's
You're right.
What
he tells you. You're right. He's only worth $2.3 billion.
Actually, if you were at the start of this show, if you were here for the start of this show, Deutsche Bank is now saying, yeah, you know what? He wasn't worth that. He lied. And all these court cases are proving that he lied about his net worth. He lied about everything, dude. If he would have taken the money he inherited from his dad and put it in the stock market, he would be much more rich than he is now.
Dude, if he were to liquidate all of his assets, he would be stupid rich.
No, he wouldn't.
Mar-a-Lago,
No, he
is trying to say
wouldn't.
it's worth
He
10
doesn't.
million.
No,
It's
he
worth
wouldn't
so
be
much.
that rich.
He
Mar-a-Lago's
owns a
not.
huge
Mar-a-Lago's not
power
worth it near what he says it's worth.
He owns a
Mar-a-Lago.
huge power
Mar-a-Lago.
for-
No, it's not. You don't understand. You just literally don't understand how like things are valued. You don't understand the easements on Mar-a-Lago. You don't understand the value of Mar-a-Lago. And the Trump brand, which used to provide a lot of value for Mar-a-Lago, is kind of like shitting the bed. Most of his worth is his brand, and he's really
So,
fucked up his brand. But
in your
again,
opinion,
doesn't matter. That's not the American dream. In inheriting
he was before he was president. He was the American
inheriting
dream
a
for
quarter
everybody.
of $1 billion
He was
is
the number
not
one
the
show on
American.
TV.
Inheriting a quarter of $1 billion is not the American dream. If so, like, there's been like how many American dream
That's not
successes
his
have there
fault that
been?
he inherited money. Like,
Nobody said that, dude. You said he's the American dream. That's stupid.
that's what everyone thought until he became president.
Nobody
Then-
thought that,
then
dude.
the
I did
second he became
I did
president,
my
the border
research
was
paper.
his fault.
I did my research paper in college on him in like 2009, and even then people knew he was a joke. He had been a joke forever.
No, dude.
They
We're the
hate.
same
Yeah,
age, though.
no, he
No.
was a villain. He even with The Apprentice, he wasn't like the good guy. The reason people watched it is because he was a villain. They would watch his cruelty, and it was entertaining. They didn't watch him because they thought he was a great guy.
It's still number one. It was the number one show on TV at the time.
Cool.
And
Who cares? See, now you're talking about TV ratings after I dunked on you with everything else, dude. Like, you have no real
dude, the
opinions of your
second he
own.
became
You
president,
have no
it was
real
like,
opinions of your own, Nate. And this is getting
all right, the
old.
second
And
he
it
became
should be
president,
it should
the
be
border got
embarrassing.
blamed on
It
him.
should be
Everyone said
embarrassing
it
for
was
you
blamed on
that
him.
now,
None of
like,
it
it
was
should
his
be
fault.
embarrassing for you, Nate, that at the end of this, what you're doing is you're talking about TV ratings. This should be embarrassing in a political conversation. At the end of this,
Right.
you're like, the
Dude, the
American
second he
dream is
became-
getting a quarter of $1 billion and having
Oh,
high
God.
TV ratings. Come on, man. This
Dude, I
should be
forget
embarrassing.
TV ratings. I just threw that in there. All right, sidetrack. Doesn't matter. Whatever. The second he became president, he was getting blamed for everything. You couldn't turn the TV on with them not
Okay,
hating
Nate,
on him.
Nate,
Laughing.
none of
Trump
this,
will never
Nate,
be president.
Nate,
Laughing.
Nate. How did this guy turn the whole Republican Party into sniveling little bitches who just fucking complain? That's all you're doing. Oh, everybody picked on him. He's
So
an
are
asshole.
you.
He's an asshole criminal, and it doesn't change the fact that everything we
Not a
talked about today,
criminal, dude.
you were wrong about, and your rebuttal to all of this is, well, everybody was picking
He's
on
not
him.
a
Dude,
criminal
you're a
at all.
grown man defending another grown man because people
know what
said
a
some
criminal
mean
is,
things
dude?
about him.
You know
Your
what a
entire
criminal is?
political stance is grievances. That's it. You don't believe in anything. You don't know anything. You just don't like that people didn't like the guy you voted for.
Biden's a criminal, man. Trump's no criminal.
Give me one. I'll
Biden's
give me
real
one piece.
criminal.
There's
The big
no.
guy- the big guy's
Oh
a
my
real
God,
criminal.
dude, this is crazy.
You don't want to hear it. The
You
big
don't
guy's
know.
a real
Okay,
criminal.
give me one piece of evidence before I drop you. Give me one piece of evidence that Joe Biden's a criminal. Give me one
Taking
piece of
money
evidence
from
that links
China,
Joe
from a company
Biden.
in China that for his son, and them getting a cut of it every year.
How
Them
much
getting
money
becoming
did Joe
stupid
Biden
rich
get?
off of it.
How much
Owning
money did
$5
Joe
billion
Biden get?
houses,
How much
making
money did Joe Biden
$200,000
get?
a year.
How much money did Joe Biden get?
Him directly, probably a crap ton. Because
How come the Republicans in Congress investigating said they can't find a single cent that goes back to Joe Biden?
Because they know how to hide it, dude. They're some of the most
All right,
powerful
dude.
people in the
Nate,
world.
it's embarrassing, dude.
They
Have a good day. Every piece of evidence Republicans bring is, well, it's true, but it's being hidden. Okay. All right, Dusty. Let's see. Who threw that up? Whisper, here's how much Donald Trump is worth.
Oh,
Hey, Dusty.
hey,
How you doing?
not bad.
What's up?
So I don't want to talk about any of that stuff that you were talking about with that last guy. That was ridiculous.
Terrific. That would be
I just
ideal.
want to talk about your title.
Okay.
So I can't even say that I disagree with you. I'm just wondering how voting for either side helps my paycheck.
If you voted for progressive Democrats who wanted to change our tax structure and provide like universal health care, then it would drastically improve your life.
So
If we got enough progressives in there, yeah, it would drastically change.
Scenario where we got the House and the Senate and the President all on the same side, and they were Democrat, and they wanted to change our tax structure. You think that more people would move into the 1%?
No, I think the middle class would just get a lot stronger, and I
middle
think
class-
that the poor would be able to afford more.
I think that that's probably true.
Yeah, like the 1%'s fine, dude. Like people don't need all that money. It makes no sense. I understand that that people think that you should be able to make unlimited money, but it's our money. Like the money belongs to us as a country. It's supposed to circulate to prop up our economy. So when it's being hoarded on one side like that, it's stupid. It's not working.
The only problem I have with everyone saying, oh, everybody gets, these rich people gets huge tax breaks, which they do. And honestly, corporations should be paying a lot more taxes. I agree with that. The only thing is, though, is I started an LLC. I'm in the middle class, and I use it to my benefit.
Yeah.
And it helps me like a lot, actually,
Yeah.
because me and my wife, we do pretty well, but only middle class well. Like we have jobs like that are pretty good. She's a nurse, I'm a quality manager, and we end up having to pay taxes at the end of the year unless I leverage my LLC. So
Right.
those tax laws, they benefit me.
I'm
So
not necessarily advocating that we get rid of those tax laws, but like we've got to be able to go after the tax that's being hoarded, right? Or the money that's being hoarded, the money that's being moved around, the money that's being hidden. These billionaires being able to give, like their businesses can just give them a zero interest loan that they never have to pay back, and they'll just live off of that money. So they effectively live a life with no bills, total assets. They don't even have to be like liquid, but they essentially are liquid, and that money just sits there at the top, and that it enriches everybody else who's rich.
So that I agree with. It's just and I guess in the scenario where you said, okay, if we had a group of individuals in government that all thought the same way, then maybe we could do something about it. I just think realistically, no matter which way you vote, the 1% will stay the 1%. Every once in a while, there will be a genius who comes up with an idea that's so innovative that he'll move up there. But besides that, we're all stuck in the middle class and we're all stuck in the lower class.
Okay, well,
No,
change it. Why not change it then?
Voting isn't going to help you.
Well,
I'm sorry.
voting alone doesn't help you, but getting candidates in there, and being educated, and voting only for people who will legislate in your best interest, or the best interest of the American people. That's possible, but it takes a bunch of people to stop being apathetic, and it also takes a bunch of people to like recognize when they're wrong about something, which is tricky on the right.
But you realize what you're asking for? It's not going to happen. Like,
What's the other solution? Just bend over and get fucked?
no, I think the bi-party system is flawed
Well,
because it causes
of course.
polarization. It causes your side and their side.
Of
That's
course,
why.
but look, if we got a bunch of progressives in now, I think there's a potential of a blue wave, right? That's potential. We could get some things done. We could probably get universal health care done. Some people are going to disagree with that. We might be able to get a progressive tax system in place. We might be able to just close a bunch of loopholes. We might be able to tax Wall Street. It's going to be incremental. You're right about that. Like it's incremental, but I think we're at a stage in this country now that even the people on the right recognize, like that last caller, he knows that his party's fucking him. His only thing is he's like, oh, we're going to be fucked. We're going to be fucked by everybody, so I'm going to stay here. At some point, there is going to be a recognition that the right is all about trickle down economics, and they're all about like enriching the richest people. And I don't think that means that everybody will vote left. I think what will happen is the right will move towards the middle. It's going to be incremental, but you have to force them with a big loss. You force it in 2024, probably 2026. And if they keep taking losses like they have been for the last 4 years, eventually they're going to be like, all right, we got to ditch this moron Trump. We got to ditch these morons like Ted Cruz, and we've got to move left. And that's how it changes in the two-party system. I agree with you. More parties. Like I think if you vote for more progressives, you might get ranked choice. I don't think that's anytime soon, but maybe in 12 years, 10 to 12 years, we might get ranked choice. That fixes a lot of the problems with the two-party system.
That would be nice, because that's what I think the problem is not voting Republican or Democrat. I think it's the idea, because when you put in front of the general population choice A or B, everyone's going to choose a side.
Right.
And then people are just going to entrench themselves. So it's like either way I vote, like it doesn't really matter right now. So it's just, my opinion is that, I guess what you said, like I just think it's the two-party system. That's what we have. And if we get drift eventually, I think that would be great. But the problem is we only have 4-year terms, and then all of a sudden it drifts the other way, and then they undo the bullshit that the other side did, and then some of the bullshit sticks. And it's just so annoying that I used to care, and I still kind of do because it's everyone's life. And I'm obviously on here, so obviously I care, so I don't want to contradict myself too much. But I don't know, like, I just feel stuck where it's like, what way do I vote? Because it doesn't matter.
Well, I mean, if you're talking about just president, maybe not. But if you're talking about on your local elections, if you're talking about state elections, city elections, your congressman, your senate, like it can make a massive difference. The best thing we can do is show like on a small level that these kind of policies work, and we're starting to see it in some places. But if you can show that these policies work on a small level, then you get more support nationally, right? So it's a process. But I do think we're coming to a tipping point with the Republican Party. I think we're close to the point where, dude, like I do this every day. There's never been a time in my life where I felt like one party literally was wrong about everything. And that's kind of where we're at with the Republicans right now. They're wrong about almost everything. It's wild. And I think even Republicans are starting to realize that when you see that the only defense they ever come up with is like, oh, well, both sides are bad. But they're literally wrong about everything. And I think we're going to see a change. I think you're going to see probably, unless something crazy happens, maybe we have an attack on our country. I think you'll see a big blue wave in 2024, possibly 2026, and it's going to force the Republicans to come back to like a reasonable state.
Yeah.
Like look at the bump Nikki Haley is getting just by being like semi-honest about things.
I'm sorry, I don't know.
She's a presidential candidate for the Republicans.
Okay.
She's basically taken like a milquetoast approach on abortion by saying like, here's my beliefs, but like this is unpopular. We can't go after women's rights. Like the most milquetoast, like soft stance you could take on abortion, and she started rising. That resonated with a lot of Republicans, and especially Republican women. They're realizing that. You're starting to see when people shift a little bit left with the Republican Party, they're gaining traction. And I think that's a sign to me that things are changing, that the ideals of this country have moved left.
Okay. Well, that's good. And the reason why I hopped on is because I wanted to share that feeling with you and kind of see, because I listened to you talk. I'm like, okay, I kind of want to see what he thinks about this too, because I just, I kind of feel alone when I say, oh, who do you vote for? And then people are like, oh, you don't vote. You're a bastard. You're un-American. I'm like, it's not about that. It's just like when I see the ballot and I get one paragraph of information, it's like, I don't know what to do with that. And when I'm trying to experience it for myself and I see my peers and the people around me not experiencing the consequences of their vote, like that's when I'm just like, okay, this bi-party system sucks. And I think you're right, though. If we do see drift and people start to move and it's not so polarizing anymore, I think things can get done. So I guess I just agree with you then.
Okay. Well, you son of a bitch.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
It's just the title. So I just wanted to ask you about the title. But I'll move on so you can get some crazy Republican on there again.
Well, no, I appreciate it. Those are good questions. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, man.
All right. We'll see you.
Bye.
Yeah, I think it's important too to remember that like our country wasn't set up to make it easy for radical change. Like things are supposed to kind of move slowly, and so we're not going to see a quick radical change. He's right about that. It's not like 2024 Biden wins, there's a blue wave, and suddenly everything's perfect. No, there's years and years of work to do. This was Daniel, but it looks like not loading. He probably took off. After Daniel is real quick. Just want to make sure we're going opposition only in the box. I'll give you guys a second to hop out if you're in there. Let me see. I had a couple other articles. Oh yeah, just a reminder. We have the House speakership going on, and I've used this before. I'll use it again. I do not understand why being a shitty person makes you elevates you in the GOP. But we now have there's a real chance that Jim Jordan becomes the Speaker of the House. And I just want to remind you that Jim Jordan, who is an assistant wrestling coach at the University of Ohio State University, from 86 to 94, has repeatedly said he knew nothing of the abuse of former students. This was former wrestlers. But many of these athletes have come out and said specifically that they went to Jim Jordan, that they told him the allegations, and that he did nothing. He said he didn't want to be involved. Who's this guy? Mike D. Sabato was a former wrestler who is a Republican, and he's maintained his friendship with Jim Jordan, or he did for a long time. He said, I consider Jim Jordan a friend, but at the end of the day, he is absolutely lying if he says he doesn't know what's going on. He said he reached out to Jordan this year, this was in 2018, before going to the university to tell Jordan that he planned to go public with his allegations. This guy who cared about Jim Jordan enough to say, like, hey, I want to give you an opportunity to know that I'm going to go tell the truth to the university. I'll reach out to Jim Jordan. Jordan told him, please leave me out of it. Don't get me involved. Some of the stories, Dunyasha Yetz, who wrestled at Ohio State in 93-94, said he and others told Jordan about Strauss. Said, I remember I had a thumb injury and I went into Strauss's office and he started pulling down my wrestling shorts. I'm like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? And I went out and I told Russ and Jim what happened. I was not having it. They went in and talked to Strauss. Yet says he and his teammates talked to Jordan numerous times, and Jordan refused to go to the university. So just a reminder there, Jim Jordan, even in the 90s, is very willing to allow disgusting, deceitful, and awful behavior to keep going as long as it doesn't directly affect him, right? As long as he can keep doing his job, he doesn't care what people do. That's why he's such a big fan of Donald Trump. It's why Donald Trump's probably a big fan of him. Donald Trump knows that he can do anything and everything, and Jim Jordan will stand by his side. Terrence, you may be back. I tried to bring you up earlier. It wasn't working. Are you here still, Terrence? Hey, Terrence. Terrence? Terrence.
Sorry, my bad.
All right. Here we go. All right, Ronnie, welcome. Hey, Ronnie. Ronnie. All right. No Ronnie. Hey, there's a long time no see. Grandpa from Tampa. Grandpa from Tampa. There we go. I got it this time.
There we go.
How you doing,
I
brother?
got it. I need some help.
First of all, it's been a while. How you doing?
I'm hanging in there, but I have my air conditioner set at 92 degrees. I can't afford the bill, and I need to know who to vote for so I can get peanut butter and jelly and some nutty bars. This is going absolutely crazy.
Yeah, it's got to be getting. I've heard the electric bills down there in Florida is awful. Went up
Yes.
something like 40% or something like. Is that the number?
The electric bill is completely out of control. I'm sitting in my living room sweating in front of a fan to pay the bill.
That's crazy. I don't know anything. I don't know enough about that, to be honest, on what happened in Florida to cause those electric bills. I don't know, man. I can just tell you this. You guys had Florida was one of the only states to in 2022 to like really shift red, and things have not gotten better. I'd say they got progressively worse. They've like not kept up with other states. They've had a lot of problems in Florida since they went red. I'll tell you this, they're not going to care about your infrastructure. They're not going to care about your retirement. They're not going to care about Medicare. They're not going to care about disability. They won't care about any of that. They will try and cut that any chance they get. I don't know who's running in your area, but I would say that Republicans probably aren't the people who are going to look out for your best interests.
100%. We're in trouble. All
That's
right.
fucking awful.
I'll let you move on.
Hey, keep on keeping on, man. Check in, would you?
All right.
Check in
you
from
guys
time to
have a
time.
good one.
All right, brother. We'll see it. Jeez. That's Grandpa from Tampa who started calling in a couple months ago. Was kind of on the fence. I think he leaned Republican, but he's just he's in Florida and he's seen what's happening to him. And I don't want to piggyback off that. Honestly, I don't want to try and crush the GOP after what's very real happening to him. That sucks. I wish I knew more about it. Chef Luke,
Hello?
Hey, Chef Luke, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Can I touch back on something you said before to the Tampa from Grandpa guy or Grandpa from Tampa?
Anything you want. Yeah.
All right, so you said that Republicans don't want to pay unemployment or disability.
Mm-hmm.
Why should we have to pay unemployment? Why are people being lazy? That's the thing. I don't understand. Everybody wants. See, listen. A lot of Democrats that I know and see that want unemployment or want disability don't have nothing wrong with them. They just don't want to work.
Okay. So you just don't think you just think that everybody that's on unemployment just doesn't want to work? Is that what you think?
I'm not saying everybody, but I'm saying a good 50%.
Okay. Well, I can tell you, Grandpa from Tampa can't. He desperately needs that money, right? And Republicans want to cut that money. They want to cut the amount that he gets.
Sorry, you cut out.
Yeah. Well, what about the people who need it? And Republicans want to cut the amount that they get. What do you say to that? What do you say to those people what do you say to the people who need it, that are dealing with rising costs right now? Grandpa from Tampa can't keep his house below 92 degrees, can't even afford peanut butter and jelly. What do you say to people like that?
Bro, I thought he was joking.
He's not.
He's being serious?
Yeah, he's been calling it for a while. He's been struggling. Prices have been skyrocketing for him.
But prices went up when Democrats became president.
Yeah, inflation went up. It had nothing to do with who the president was. Otherwise, it wouldn't be global inflation, right? So I'm just wondering, my question is, Chef Luke, what do you say to people who can't make ends meet, and then they hear Republicans saying like, "Hey, we want to cut the amount of money you're getting"?
If they genuinely need it, that's fucked up. But
okay, so you're saying Republicans are fucked up then?
To the people that need it, yeah, in a way. But for the people
not in a way. Like, what do you mean in a way?
Lie, though.
Well, it doesn't. So you think that if somebody, let's just say that somebody lied and didn't need unemployment, by the way, which is like when you get unemployment, I don't know how it is in other states. I know just running a business here in Arizona as a business owner, I pay unemployment insurance. People pay into unemployment, and they have to verify that they worked for me and that they're trying to find a job while they get unemployment, right? So I would say that most people on unemployment, the overwhelming majority of people on unemployment need unemployment to survive. And Republicans are saying we should cut that. And your answer is, well, there's some people that don't need it, so it's okay.
I'm not saying we should. See, that's the problem. I'm kind of like right in the middle, because I say they should.
What's the middle here?
I say
they're trying to cut. They're trying to cut all these benefits. What's the middle?
I say don't cut it for everybody, but do more investigations on it, because I feel like some people, in a way, mess it up for
Why
others.
do you think
like
we need to do more? Why do you think we need to do more
it?
investigations on it?
Because if let's say 50% of the people that are on unemployment,
there's no number. There's no place. There's not a single stat that would back up a number anywhere near 50%.
I'm saying, for example.
Okay, but use an example that's more realistic.
Okay, let's say 30%.
Nowhere near that.
Of people. How do you know? If there's no statistic, how do you know it's not 30%?
Well, we do have some statistics, but you still have people, like, it still is investigated. You still have to provide proof for unemployment. Basically, like, depending on the state, depending on where you're at, what you would have to do is you'd have to be faking, like, interviews. You'd have to be faking applications. You would have to show that, like, you're actively trying to get a job, and you'd have to be able to fake all of that. And you can only fake it for, like, so long. Eventually, you get cut off anyways. But again, like, do you really think, like, I'm saying that Republicans want to cut benefits for retired people, for people on unemployment, for people who can't make ends meet already. And your knee-jerk reaction, instead of saying, like, that's, like, don't do that, you just want to go to the people that you think are abusing the system. This is kind of the difference between Republicans and Democrats. Republicans are always justifying their shitty behavior, and Democrats are like, hey, what if we just weren't shitty to people who were poor?
I'm not saying, but see, this is the problem. I'm saying people abuse it and mess it up for others.
Okay, people abuse every system that we have in this country. So should we have no systems?
No, but we should do more investigations on all of our systems. We should have it more thorough where people can't abuse it. You know what I'm saying?
or because we have 350 million people in this country, we could recognize that all systems are going to have inefficiencies in some places, and we can make them more inefficient. But again, the answer is not give people less money when they need more money. But that's what the Republicans are saying. Let's give people less money.
I mean, I guess you got a point there. You do got a point. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna argue with you. I'm just trying to see what you had to say. But no, you did probably change my mind in that. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I'm looking at the states that have been trying to cut unemployment. Let me just list them to you: Arizona, Utah, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, South Dakota, North Dakota, Nebraska, Iowa, Missouri, Oklahoma, Texas, Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, South Carolina, Tennessee, Ohio, Pennsylvania, West Virginia. What do most of those have in common? Red states, right?
Right.
Let's give you an example. People on unemployment in Mississippi, 70% of the recipients of unemployment are black. In Georgia, 58% of the recipients are black. In South Carolina, 57% of the recipients are black. We're talking about southern states with a history of mistreating black people. And now you're saying, like, let's go ahead and make cuts to unemployment and disproportionately affect black people who are already in an area where for the entirety of their lives, they've been disproportionately affected by literally everything.
So basically what you mean by that is because black people live down south where a lot of the racism or bad things happen down south, if we cut off unemployment, it affects them the most.
Well, let's take Mississippi I'm saying that they don't care. That in these states, if something disproportionately affects black people, they don't care about that. They're like, that's fine. They don't vote for us anyways. Mississippi would be a good example, where they took money that was designated, I believe, I remember if it was unemployment. It was some sort of welfare program. There was money intended for that. And Brett Favre and a bunch of others convinced them to move that money to build a new gym, a new volleyball gym at the school that Brett Favre's daughter played at. Taking money out of poor communities and building a gym. Yeah. Republicans don't give a shit about poor people, which is crazy because so many Republicans are poor. There are so many, like the amount of people that vote for Trump that live below the poverty line is pretty high, right? The amount of people that are on welfare, that are on disability, that are on Social Security, that are on Medicare, that vote for Trump is staggering. And yet they don't seem to know that Republicans are the ones that are making all of their problems worse.
So they still vote for them. That's strange.
Yeah.
Well, maybe they don't just only care about, maybe they have other opinions that they care about. That's why they're voting for Republicans.
Maybe, but I've been on here since 9:30, so we're at 2 hours now, and I've yet to even had one person give me a reason to vote for Democrats and back it with anything that was like statistically accurate.
So, really?
I mean, do you vote Republican?
To be honest, I don't really vote. See, it's strange. Okay,
Would you vote Republican?
Now in time, yes.
Why would you? Let's say why. Why would you vote for? Let's just say Trump. What would make you vote for him?
Okay,
While you're going, I'm going to turn on my AC. I'm not ignoring you.
Sure.
I said Democrat. Thank you. I meant Republican. Thank you.
Why would I vote for Republican? All right. Well, in my opinion, see, I'm a business owner, okay, and the Republicans have a better interest for business owners, for people who are trying to do things like that.
What would an example of that be?
The way our taxes work with Republicans versus the way they work with Democrats.
Are you a 1% earner?
Sorry?
Are you like top 1%? Are you making like millions of dollars?
Not yet.
Okay, well the tax breaks that you had on your income then expired, the Republican tax breaks, but do you know whose tax breaks didn't expire?
Democrats?
The rich people.
Rich people.
So what specific laws that like Republicans have passed or policies that make it easier for you to operate a business?
Give me 1 second. 1 second. I just have to do something real quick.
Hi, everybody. That's all right. He can run to Google. I have Google in front of me. That's fine. That's fair. I don't mind if people look it up. Hi, Chris. It's awkward silence doing good for you guys. Oh, those look like Tutti Fruities. I love Tutti Fruities. It's like my favorite candy. You guys know about Tutti Fruities? Wolf, you can hop in the box, and I'll let you join when it's your turn if you'd like. I just do
Sorry,
1v1. Hey, you're good. Welcome
sorry,
back.
bro. I gotta go. I do want to debate with you. I'm gonna follow you. I don't know if you go live all the time, but
Every morning, Monday through Friday, 9:30 to 1 Pacific Standard Time. So
sounds good. I'm gonna join back either tomorrow or sometime this week, and we're gonna debate.
all right, sounds good, bud. We'll see you.
Of course, you have a good
Bye.
one.
All right, Wolf Cola. Thank you, Casey. They don't get enough love. What's up, Wolf?
Hey, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. Thanks for having me join your live, and I appreciate you setting up the topics for discussion. So
Yeah, you bet.
I'm currently at work, but I work remote, so I'll take a
Congratulations.
little break. Yeah, right. Really. No, first I want to say that give a little history about myself. I have been a recruiter for various size companies for 18 years. And I can tell you the temperature in the market when it comes to salary increases, the successes of people in their careers, depending on who's in office. So I've seen the Bush administration, the Obama administration, the Trump, and now Biden. So, I have a lot of experience when it comes to not just looking at data, but looking at who's looking for jobs, why they get laid off. And so a lot of to your question, if you like living paycheck to paycheck, I can tell you as a recruiter under the Trump administration till now, I've made more bonuses from companies, had more pay increases, and have made probably $25,000 more a year when I was under Trump. Now, under the Biden administration, I'm seeing, and this is middle class, right? I'm considered middle to middle upper class. I'm seeing more and more wages drop. I'm getting more phone calls from people saying, I lost my job. I'm laid off. They're not renewing my contracts.
Yeah. You understand? So when Trump left office, the average wage in this country was $55,000. That was like the average. Now it's $63,000. It went up to $60,000 in 2021 and $63,000 in 2022. So I would say that your anecdotal evidence doesn't speak to the actual evidence.
Well, it does, because you're looking at, remember, there are people still are in that companies right now are now starting to cut back. So next year and a year from now, you'll start to see those wages drop.
Yeah. And
Like right now, I'm still making the same I had been for the last 2-3 years because of the wage increases that have happened under the Trump administration. And so
but wages didn't go up that much. Like they went up a total of $5,000 on average during the Trump administration. Started about 50,000 and it went up to 55,000. Now we're at 63,000. I'm looking at these wage increases, and they're actually, I don't know what 2023 is going to look like, but Biden is outpacing Trump in his first 2 years. In Trump's first 2 years, it went up $2,000. In Biden's first 2 years, it went up $3,200.
But you also have to take into account, it takes a couple years, a year or two, when you take a new job, and again, being in my career as long as I have, you take a new job, it usually takes a year to really get smoking into your role, right? You really get to see those changes in a year or two. Then it's the next 2 years and the 2 years preceding that is when you see a lot of the change. So when we see a president in office for 4 years, and then they switch to another president for another 4 years, you're going to see the struggles in the first year or two under the Obama. And I'm just, I gave Obama a chance, like I do every president. I give everyone a chance. I'm more middle. I'm conservative, but I'm more middle. I give everyone a chance, and I've seen the effects of, like, when Obama was in office for 8 years. 2 years go by, then you've got two more, nothing changed. Then the last four, there was a struggle. Trump came in.
What do you mean? What do you mean? He had like 6 straight years of economic growth. He had higher GDP growth than Trump. Dude, like, statistically, what you're saying isn't true. Under Obama, wages went up. Wages went up in 8 years about $8,500. Under Trump, they went up roughly 5,000. So Trump slightly outpaced Obama on wages. And keep in mind that Trump inherited a booming economy. Obama inherited literally like a dead economy.
Trump's changes boomed the economy. Which
No, that's not. But by what measure?
Sure.
How are you? By what measure?
Well, when you ship jobs overseas.
No. By what measure? We have to look at. We can't just say a bunch of shit. We've got to look at numbers, and we have to look at the actual numbers and say, did his economy get better? We can't just tell stories.
Yes, it did.
But by what measure is what I'm asking.
Well, you have to look at the measurement of when jobs came overseas. When we brought jobs back.
What economic indicator can I look at here? When I pull up the numbers, what economic indicator could I look at that would tell me that Donald Trump boomed the economy and that it was stagnant when he took over?
The second year into his presidency until 2 years into the Biden economy.
Wait, hold on. That would not show. If I looked at the second year of Trump's presidency and then to the Biden administration, that would not show whether or not Donald Trump inherited a booming economy. Let's please stay on subject. What specific indicator should I be looking at right now to compare the Obama economy and the Trump economy?
Whatever statistics you're looking at,
what are you looking at?
I'm sharing my personal experiences as it comes to.
Well, I don't really care about that. If they don't match up with statistics, everything you've given me so far, everything you've given me so far, your personal experience has not matched up with the numbers. So I don't really take a lot. I don't put a lot of value into your experience because they don't seem to line up with the numbers I'm seeing.
Well, because numbers can be fudged.
You know what can be fudged a lot easier? A story from a human being that I've never met before. That's much easier. It's easier for me. It's much easier for me to believe raw numbers, than it is to believe Wolf.
And that's fine. You can do that. I'm on here to tell you from my experiences with dealing with already this year. I
hate to cut you off. I'm honestly not interested in your personal anecdotal stories. If we're going to talk and compare the economies, then your anecdotal evidence is irrelevant. We have to look at the actual evidence.
Well, what numbers are you looking at that says that living paycheck to paycheck makes, vote Republican? Because I'm telling you that I've seen better growth economy in people's paid, because this is paycheck to paycheck.
But what you're saying doesn't line up with the actual numbers. So again, why the fuck would I believe you? Because the numbers don't agree with you. So why should I believe you, the headhunter, over the numbers?
Well, I'm not a headhunter.
That's what I said we did. What do you do?
Well, I recruit, but I work for companies that I recruit for. I don't go out and hunt people down. People come to me and say, I want to work for your company. But yeah, I know we're considered headhunters depending on your field of study.
I didn't mean it disrespectfully.
Absolutely. Yeah. But I think that whatever sites you go to when you look at jobs being brought over from China to the United States, whatever site you go to, I'm sure there's a lot of data and statistics.
Where do you go? Where do you go to? So you have your own lived experience, right? And you're basing your opinion. Do you ever go and see hey, I wonder if what's happening to me is an outlier, or if this matches up with the real numbers?
This is not my personal experience. I'm talking about the thousands and thousands of people that I have hired over the last few years
Okay,
When
so
I
it is
negotiate
so it is
wages,
just
when I
your
look at,
personal so it's just your personal experience then.
well, because again, you can go and you can look at different numbers on different government website. What websites do you go to that you're
This is
pulling your numbers
yeah,
from?
this is the social SSA.gov.
Okay, great. So you're looking at the .gov saying that you live paycheck to paycheck,
No,
but
this is for your claims on wages.
well,
That-
I'm answering your question when it says if you love living paycheck to paycheck while billionaires hoard money,
Mhm.
vote Republican. However, here's some statistics you can look up,
Okay.
which I did. If you look at who are the top richest people in the United States, not in the world, but just in the U.S., because that's what we're talking about.
Uh-huh.
You will look at the top 10. 70% of them vote Democrat.
That doesn't
While the
that's completely irrelevant. That doesn't matter at all.
That-
That would
but you're
make
saying
that would make no difference to the point. These are
Sure, it
individuals.
does.
No, it
Because
doesn't make
when,
any
well,
no, it doesn't. It doesn't make
it
any
does.
difference at all because
It does
you
make a
can
difference.
no, let me explain. You can be a billionaire and also vote for Democrats and it doesn't or Republican. It doesn't make a difference. What's universally true is that under Republican rule and under Republican laws, we saw the greatest transfer of wealth from the middle class to the top 1% in United States history because deregulation and low taxes and almost no taxes on the billionaire class has led to the largest transfer of wealth in the United States history. That is statistically true. No, there's no economist in the world that would disagree with me there.
When you have 70% of the richest people in the United States vote Democrat, why?
It doesn't matter. But
Because they care. Yes, it does.
Probably because they care about certain issues, and also because there are people.
But they're billionaires.
There are also people within the Democrat Party, people like Joe Manchin, historically Joe Biden. Really, any moderate Democrat, they're not doing a goddamn thing about this either. They're just basically Republicans. But there are Democrats who are trying to do something about this, and I support those Democrats. I don't like Kirsten Sinema. I don't like Joe Manchin. I don't like Joe Biden that much. There are a lot of Democrats who I think are basically Republicans, but it doesn't change my point that like voting for Republicans, you're going to get more of this.
I'm considering myself more independent. Like I vote. Tulsi Gabbard was one person that I really was hoping that would get voted in.
Yeah,
right?
She's an idiot. She sucks.
I don't think so.
By the way,
I think she's very moderate.
$80 million came into Republicans from billionaire PACs. 20 million came into Democrats. So Republicans get 4 times more money from billionaires than Democrats.
I do believe.
Did you hear that number? Wait. Did you hear that number? Because you said you cared about voting, but everybody knows money is the power, right?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so why did Republicans get 4 times more money from billionaires?
I don't care where they get their money from. I care about what they're doing with it.
No. Like, why did Republican candidates?
I'm telling you, I can't tell you why someone gets more money than others. All I care about is what they do with it.
It wouldn't be because they wanted something, right? They're just giving it for no reason.
All right. Well, I'll tell you this. Then why didn't Trump take any donor money when he ran? Why did he use his own?
Trump did take donor money. He just lied about not taking it.
I don't think I don't. Where's the evidence of that? He said, I don't want your money. He didn't take. Now, I'm not going to sit here and argue Trump, Biden. We're talking about, I want to stick to the topic of your billionaires hoard money. Yet we had under Obama, yet still you had more than 50% of the United States richest people in the U.S. that are on the Democrat side when they had the House and the Senate, and they still couldn't make changes in inner cities. They still couldn't.
Correct. That's correct. They're not. I agree with you. They're not progressive enough. I need them to be more progressive. I share the same. I share the same criticism as you do. The only difference is I think that if it was Republicans, it would have actually been worse. So I think that people need to be more progressive. By the way, I pulled up Trump's top contributors for the federal election data from 2020. Las Vegas Sands, Adelson Clinic, America First, Disney, Lauren Isaac, Energy Transfer, Marcus Foundation, Eshelman Ventures, G.H. Palmer and Associates, These are people who have paid in the million. These are all multi-million-dollar donations. The highest was $45 million. Uline, Pulse, Stevens, Blackstone, Mountain Air, Irving, Beal Bank, Cerebrus, RDV Corp. For I don't even know what the total was. There was one donor. Las Vegas Sands gave him $45 million. These are all corporations. Donald Trump is a fucking liar. He also didn't fund his own campaign. He lied about that too. He lies literally about virtually every single thing. I'm a little concerned. I'm a little concerned about you, Wolf, because you came on to talk about something that you seem to have some expertise on, and I agree that you do. Like, you deal with people every single day, but the data doesn't seem to back up a single thing that you've said so far. Everything you've said so far, the data has been the opposite. So I'm wondering, like, do you ever go check your gut feelings and say, like, I wonder if what I think is true? Well, you've been wrong about everything so far.
No, I haven't been wrong about everything.
You've been wrong about wages. You were wrong about billionaires
I'm not wrong about
supporting
wages.
politicians.
Again,
well, you
I'm
are.
not wrong.
Well,
I'm not wrong about wages. No, because you said
wrong
that.
About
You said
wages.
that. I will tell you that when it comes to these wages, time after time, when it comes to the middle class, which is whom I typically deal with, every single of those wages have gone up in offers, in ask, and these people controlling companies, what they're asking for. We've had meeting after meeting after meeting around how do we come up with more money to get people into these seats because the competition's so stiff. I've seen people start out with $100,000 that are making $50,000 more than they were 2 years prior. We've been offering sign-on bonuses. Our company has created DE&I strategies and have increased our interns, increased our DE&I spending. Now it's coming down.
You understand? None of this discredits anything I'm saying. I'm looking at this.
Sure,
I'm looking at salary. I'm looking at salary projections for 2024. We see in we had a 3.8.
I would guarantee you those will be lower.
We saw in 2023 we're seeing a 3.8% growth in salary, and the projections for 2024 are 3.5%. So I don't know. So I don't know what data you're looking. Well, these same people, by the way, these same people accurately predicted the wage increases for all these other data points. So could you give me a data point instead of your personal experience that would lead you to believe that salaries are going to drop?
Well, because you can't predict if they're going to drop next year, right? You can only we're only looking at what has changed over history of time. By the way,
I'm being fed. I'll be full disclosure. I'm being fed a lot of this information by somebody who spent 6 years as a director of recruiting. Somebody who's very familiar with these statistics, and nobody's agreeing with you, dude.
No, you've got you have hundreds of thousands of dollars that we're spending just this month in trying to increase, increase wages over time.
You keep going back to your anecdotal evidence. Well, I'm asking for data. Nothing. You have to understand. No matter how long we have this conversation, if I give you data and your retort is anecdotal, I don't give a fuck. Nobody cares if your anecdotal evidence doesn't line up with the data. You're going to have to give me at some point some sort of data that backs you up, not just what you've experienced.
I'm talking about the data that you're sharing I'm using your data that you're talking about. I'm saying you have to put yourself in the frame of mind of how you're looking at data. Data can be accurate, but it's how you're looking at it. So give me an example.
How could I be looking at this incorrect? How could I be looking at these increases?
Because you're giving Biden credit for the increased
I am not giving
wages.
Biden doesn't deserve a single ounce of this credit. Not one single ounce.
Then if the wages are going up, where do they credit it from then?
Well, I would say the wages are going up for a number of reasons. But the main reason that wages are going up is because companies are being forced to keep up with inflation, and also corporations had massive profit increases. And what you see is massive profits with small incremental pay raises. They're mostly hoarding that money. You can talk about the auto workers strike right now. They're asking for a big increase in money, but the increase that they're asking for isn't even the same increase that the automakers made in profits. The automakers' profits are higher than the increase the workers are asking for. It is a system that is unjust. It is a system that is manipulated and controlled by the people at the top. That's why I'm saying
Is
those people need to be taxed, and they need to. There needs to be more controls
I want to
on
be
the
careful
amount.
about taxing.
I wouldn't. I'm cool with billionaires being taxed some money, and
Me too.
what
I
I would
agree.
ask for is every dollar over 10 million is taxed at 90%.
Uh, I don't know if I agree with that, but
Well,
I
could
do
provide
agree.
data. I could provide data that in our country, the time that the middle class was the most robust, and when more people could afford houses, when the most people could afford houses, the most people were putting money into retirement, the most people were able to live on one income, was when the top marginal tax rate was 90%.
Well, when I'm talking about,
We didn't used to allow billionaires. We didn't used to allow people to hoard money. But then Reagan came in and he introduced trickle down economics. And if you look at the numbers for 40 straight years, the wealth gap has grown. It doesn't fucking work.
Robert
Trickle down
Kiyosaki,
economics is bullshit. It's
yeah,
not working. And Republicans are doubling down on it.
Robert
Don't give
Kiyosaki.
me. Oh, he's an idiot. Don't give me rich dad, poor dad. Come on, give me somebody that's
Well, the guy's a billionaire, right? He must be doing something right.
No,
So
being a millionaire does not make you smart. It doesn't make you even understand economics. I know plenty of people who are millionaires who are dumb.
But in his experience, he's saying that in a bad economy, the rich make more money because they have more disposable income to invest in a broken economy than they.
Yes.
It's like a blue light special sale,
Yes.
right?
Yes,
So-
yes, because they were able to
Yes.
hoard all of this wealth while nobody else could. So when Americans are hurting,
Right.
the rich get richer.
So I believe in
Kiyosaki's like,
bringing.
this is great.
That's why I believe in not outsourcing our jobs to other countries, but keeping them within the United States because that does empower the people.
Why don't you
So
just
instead
not
of having,
allow, why don't you just
instead of
not
having,
allow people to hoard money? Why, like what you're talking about doesn't fix it. Stop
well,
allowing people to hoard money.
it's not people though. I'm talking like in corporations. Example again, we can look at all the data and say, well, they're hoarding money. I know that all the companies that I've worked for or working with or we partner with, again, I know this is your
It's
personal experience.
anecdotal, dude.
It
Everything
doesn't
you
matter.
say
I'm
it matters
telling
to
you.
me because I don't care about your stories. I don't.
Oh,
We're not
well,
friends.
I
We're
do.
not acquaintances. I don't want your life story. I want you at
It's not
some
a life
point.
story.
I want
It's
some point you to bring some sort of data that doesn't start with in my fucking experience. Dude, you're not that educated on this. You're just telling you keep just telling me your opinion. How many more times do I have to ask for data before you're going to provide some?
what I'm saying. Look, it doesn't matter about. I'm using your data points. I'm telling you about hoarding money. I know for a fact that there are companies that invest into their people. I know you can, say, well, I don't care about your personal experiences, but when we look at the inner city, that's part of our problem. We don't want to hear about their personal experiences. We just want to look at numbers on a paper and say, well, this is how we fix the inner
let's
city.
look at the fucking numbers. Let's stop worrying about their personal experience and let's look at the numbers.
Yes, you've got
and if we
to.
look at the numbers in these inner cities, we can look at statistically.
No, we need to
why
ask the people in the
stay
inner
poor.
cities.
No, we don't. No, we don't. That's silly.
Yeah,
It's
you do.
nonsense. It's bullshit. It's politics. You're playing politics with economics. Economics is simple numbers. We can figure this
It's
out
not
with
simple numbers.
You won't do it.
It's not
It
always
is
simple numbers.
It is
It's not
simple
always
numbers.
simple. No, it's not.
Absolutely is. For every percentage point you fall below, like when a community is below the poverty rate, crime increases. That's statistically true. Pull people out of poverty, crime goes down. That's how it works.
100%.
Poverty,
Absolutely.
yes, it does. Yes, so pull them out of
agree with you.
poverty.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't need to know their stories. I need to make sure that people who are
I
living in
do.
poverty have the ability to get themselves out of poverty. It makes no difference why they're in poverty to me. We have to have a more equitable system. And when people like Robert Kiyosaki can hoard all this money so when bad times come, they can buy up everybody's shit and they can make themselves infinitely more richer, it's a shitty system.
Oh, I agree. But what I'm saying about in terms of you're talking about taxing the rich and taxing more, my issue again is if we tax them, where is that money going? We give how much money to Ukraine and other countries?
No. No.
Yeah, it is.
No,
To
no,
me,
no.
this is
Listen,
my
listen,
personal
dude.
experience.
You are
There,
unable to be specific about anything. Everything to you is just, but what about? But what about? When you give me some specific statistics, great. But all you're doing is making excuses for why. Like Republicans suck. They fucking suck at
no,
this.
I'm not
They don't
making
care about poor people.
excuses.
And every single time I bring up a
That's
point,
not true.
you say, but I want to know where that money's going to. You know what you could do, Wolf? You could look at the spending bills. You could do some research and you would know where the money was going. And if you have a problem with where the money's going, you could address it at that point. But that doesn't change anything about the idea that we have to change our economic structure. You're not willing to address that. Can you explain to
Well,
me why? Can you? Okay, so if you
sure.
understand understand our monetary system at all, basically our federal government has decided like we're going to have a monetary system. We're going to circulate this money through the economy. We do that because it speeds everything up and it allows our economy to operate in a more efficient way. We put all this money into circulation, and especially with trickle down economics, this money would circulate, and then all of a sudden it started staying at the top. And if this
Yeah.
money stays at the top, there's less circulating, right?
hmm
So we have two options, right? We can inject more money or we can pull it down from the top.
Yes.
Republicans somehow object to both. They object to injecting more money, and they refuse to take it back from the top. Now, Democrats have two different options. Democrats either propose, the moderate ones say, let's inject more money because we're too pussy to pull it from the top. And progressive Democrats say, pull it from the top and stop injecting the money. The most fiscally responsible way is to take it from the top. Weirdly, in this country, the far left has become the most fiscally responsible.
So tell me this: if you think do you believe the we're going into a recession?
Potentially.
If so, what's your evidence? Why do you suppose that
No,
is?
I'm
Who's
not.
sitting in
I'm
office and
not.
who's making decisions to get us
I'm.
there?
I'm not an economist. I think that depends on what you're saying by recession. We have small recessions. We have big recessions. But what I just said, everything I just said was true, and you ignored all of it and said and
No.
changed the
Please
subject.
understand,
So
I'm
could
not.
you please? So could you please address
I'm
me
not
like
ignoring.
if
I'm not
okay?
ignoring.
So then answer this: if the problem is that the money's not circulating, how do you solve that?
Well, I think by creating, instead of becoming a consumer, I think we need to become more of a manufacturer like we used to be, where we're bringing outside money in and not printing more money. Again, I'm not an economist either, right?
Okay.
But
So
but
that how does that make money circulate? And how does that stop it from
because
sitting up here at the top?
we're not a
No.
spending nation anymore. That we're a manufacturer, which is what made us great before. Was we were creating things and selling it, bringing in by doing it.
You're misidentifying what made us great. What made us great is that we were innovative. What made us great is that we were
Okay.
innovative in manufacturing.
We
And
did something with innovation.
and we are still innovative. And you're saying we should go backwards to manufacturing. That would not be
No.
innovative. That would be the opposite of innovate. Like bringing those jobs back is the
Yes.
opposite of innovation. But even if those jobs came back, none of that money at the top is going to come back down. So what your
How do you know
solution
that? What's your
doesn't.
data point?
Why would it come back down?
Well, what's your data point? That's your
What? No.
personal opinion.
Of course it is. You're
Oh.
the one that's making the statement. You're saying that bringing in jobs from out of country would bring that money back down. Can you explain how that would bring that money back down?
Because we're creating more money. Again,
So
like you
how
were
would it
saying,
get
in
the
a
money
broken
down from
economy,
the top? How would it
because
get
our
money down from
economy
the
would not,
top?
because what we were saying earlier about if an economy is broken, the wealthy make more money. And you said absolutely right. The reason why the economy is broken is because the middle class is displaced. If you
Yeah.
reinstall the middle class into giving them power and strength, that forces the upper class to no longer hoard as much money.
When did the
They
middle class
innovate
have the
and
most
spend it
strength?
here in the U.S., which
What was the
creates job, which
what
creates
was the
wage
top
increases.
what was the top tax bracket when the middle class was at its strongest?
Oh, I don't know.
90%.
Okay.
So why don't we just go back to something that we actually know worked instead of this bullshit idea? Like even what you're saying
Because
right
that's
now,
less,
like
because
what you're saying right now still would not bring the money down from the top. It still wouldn't do that.
Well, I think that you would. I think what it would do is it would
Why are you
encourage
so
them.
opposed? Why are you opposed to doing something we know works? Why are you opposed to 90%
Oh no, I'm
tax?
not. I'm
Okay,
no.
then,
I'm
what
not
are you
opposed.
arguing here?
No, I'm not. I'm not arguing. What I'm trying. And if I'm coming across as argumentative, I apologize. But it's not argumentative. What I'm saying is that I think when we tax, we say, well, let's tax the richest people. Let's anything over 10 million. Let's tax them at 90%. So who takes the money? The government. What are they
No.
doing with that money?
No, not necessarily, because here's what happened.
Misspending is the government
Okay.
misspending is my problem.
If you'd like me to finish my sentence, I'd be happy to do that. Here's what happened. When that tax rate is at 90% over 10 million, whatever number we wanted to choose, that's an arbitrary number at 10 million. But whatever number we chose, it incentivizes people to invest more in their employees, invest more in their business, maybe invest more in the community. It
Yes.
incentivizes business owners to not hoard wealth, but to provide
Yeah.
value. That's
Perfect.
why the middle class was bigger. So bringing in more jobs doesn't change that, because even if you bring in more jobs, we already live in an economic structure where these big corporations have so much money that when those new jobs come in, you know what they're going to do? They're just going to buy up that company because they want the wealth and they have the means to do so. So they're just going to buy out those companies that have become these bigger and bigger and bigger conglomerates. You have to stop the oligarchs at the top from taking everything. I live in Arizona. 30% of new houses are bought by corporations. That means you and I, the people that want to buy houses, people that want to buy a house so that we can have generational wealth or at least have like a fallback, the prices are going up higher because corporations are trying to buy up all the houses. The places like Vanguard and BlackRock, they want to own all of the houses because
Oh, yeah.
they want,
I agree with
because
that.
their only goal is to extract the maximum amount of money from us as they possibly can. We have to take away their incentive to do that. We have to incentivize them to do something differently. And the Republican Party is too goddamn stupid to look at 40 years of trickle-down economics and realize this shit doesn't work. And they're just going to keep doubling down and saying, we got to cut taxes, we got to deregulate. And just ignore the fact that everything that they've done has led to a bunch, like an oligarch class. It doesn't work. There's nobody in the Republican Party with a tax plan that would fix anything. There's nobody in the Republican Party with an economic plan that would fix anything.
I 100% agree with you on BlackRock, Vanguard. I think we do need to stop that kind of stuff. But I think a lot of that's done through policy and restriction, like
lack of policy, lack of restriction,
lack of policy. There you go.
Not enough regulation. We need
Yeah.
way more regulation. But what are
Perfect,
Republicans always saying? Deregulate, deregulate, deregulate.
I think it depends on what you're deregulating, right? And I think if you deregulate in an area that again empowers the people with more monetary exchange, more income to be able to invest and to be able to grow and to be able to put into 401ks. My 401k has grown. And again, I know I don't care about your personal experiences, but I think however you get there, however our opinions are, I think we both agree the middle class need to be stronger. The upper class is making too much money. I agree with that. I just don't believe it's always on the Republicans that it's them and they're the shit ones that are causing all this. I don't agree with that.
I wouldn't have said that. I wouldn't have said that until Trump, by the way. I think under Trump, the worst Republicans in the party, like the people that normally you never would have heard of because they're so fucking crazy, nobody wanted them out there, they're now the ones leading. The problem with Trump is he flipped the Republican Party on its head and he brought all the dumb people to the top. All the psychos are at the top. All the people who don't understand and the easily corruptible. Like, can you imagine how excited corporations were when they're like, wait, we're going to negotiate with Marjorie Taylor Greene? Oh, hell yeah. We're literally going to get whatever we want. We're going to get anything we want. Like, because the Republicans put their dumbest people up top now. The dumbest of the dumb. Anybody who just kisses Trump's ass, they're at the top. And you have to be an idiot to kiss Trump's ass. So that's who's at the top.
Would you have to say that our government has been corrupt for many, many, many years?
I
like
do
how
not
many
believe
years?
that the government is corrupt. I believe that there are people within the government who do things that might look corrupt, but the government has no ability to work in unison on fucking anything.
Because I see our education.
Well, I understand, but I'm saying like the government itself is not corrupt. They can't act in harmony with anything. It's corruptible, but it's made corruptible by the people who write the laws, and that's not necessarily the people that's not usually the politicians. It's usually the corporations. Sure. The corporations are writing these laws. The billionaire class, they're writing these laws. Get rid of them.
So for me, how I vote is, are they a lifelong politician? Like, I think if you're in office for 40 years and you see that you're complaining about the same stuff, you can't get stuff done, out with you. Like,
I would argue that the people that have been in politics the longest are usually the most trustworthy.
Really?
Yeah, really.
In some cases, like, I don't want to.
Because there are rules. Like, while you're in office, you do have rules, and you are subject to having your finances reviewed. You are subject to public scrutiny. The people I worry about are the ones that come in for 1 or 2 terms, take a big, like a lobbying job, and then they use their influence for the rest of their lives. That's where the corruption really happens.
I've hired lobbyists. I know lobbyists, and I know somewhat how they interact. And
do you know any lobbyists that were former politicians?
No, usually lawyers.
Yeah, because if
or
you're a
some of them are politicians.
If you're a former politician, literally just the fact that you were a former politician puts you in the highest paying jobs.
Yeah. Oh, believe me, I've wrote offers for them. They get paid very, very well, and to lobby right in the Hill because they have connections. They're networked. They're well networked. So yeah, some of them are former politicians. Some of them are really good lawyers, or understand the government law and just been rubbing elbows for a long time. But for me, it's just like if you've been in office for 40 some years, like with Joe Biden, and you're complaining about the same things and nothing's getting done, I'd say try somebody new. Sometimes it's okay to bring an outsider in that doesn't have a strong political background or has been rubbed, with political dirt, to give them an opportunity to see what they can change and what they can do. And I just know that when I took a gamble on Donald Trump, that I did see economy turn around. I did see people's wages increase. And again, we can look at numbers across the United States and say, well, what went up, went down.
Yeah, like statistically, that's wrong though. But real quick, this is the person who was feeding me facts. This is Whisper. I only do one-on-one, so I'm going to mute, but I think he just has some questions. I don't want you to feel like we're dogpiling, but he knows more of your industry.
No, I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
How's it going, Wolf? How you doing?
Hey, how's it going, man?
Hey, not bad. I just had a couple of questions about some of the things you had pointed out,
Sure.
specifically around recruiting and the money that's there. Do you work for a recruiting firm or do you work for a staffing company? Just out of curiosity.
I work for corporations. I work directly for companies.
So you're a contractor.
Mm-mm.
Gotcha. Okay. So
I work. Headhunters contact me to solicit me for work to backfill our positions. So I work for a corporation in their HR department.
10-4. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Have you ever been at a director level?
No, I've worked in the management level. I've worked with a lot of VPs, AVPs. Yeah.
Okay. What indicators do you use for recruiting?
What do you mean?
What are your top 10 indicators that you use to project recruiting for a company?
What are top 10 indicators we project for recruiting for a company?
Used to project recruiting, yeah.
Like what? I mean, we talk with individual departments and find out what their needs are, what our projections are, like what programs what's our attrition rate going to be. I don't have any particular like indicators that we look at to say this is what our recruiting needs are going to be. Like for a company, we look at what is our head count, what is our attrition in the past, what is our salary, what is the market calling for, how much sponsorship are we going to need, how much investment we'll have to have in sponsorship for green card, how many people were taken through the green card process, investment. So we look at mostly internal. I know do you work for a company or do you work for like a firm, an agency?
I worked for a firm for 6 years.
Okay. So you might look at things differently than what we look at.
I recruited headhunters.
Oh, okay.
that was literally my job. And so part of that is, looking at the top 10 indicators, looking at GDP, employment figures, industrial production, consumer spending, inflation, home sales, home building, construction spending, manufacturing demand, retail sales, things like that. Company performance and those types of indicators and internal needs are some of the last things we look at for projections. And you have to know this. If you've been in recruiting for long enough, you also have to know that there are more jobs placed under Democratic control than there are under Republican control. There's more money made per recruit under Republican control than there are under Democratic control. And so the greed is very easy to follow. In recruiting, you should know this. You should know that Republicans make more money off of individuals in recruiting scenarios than they do in Democrats. You should know that.
I don't know that because again, the way I look at what the needs of our individual company are. I don't look at housing costs.
Under Democrats. So when there's a Democratic president or a Democratic control of Congress and the Senate, you don't hire more people.
Well, we've hired more people,
Yes,
like as of these last few years. Yeah.
You 100% do. You always do. It's absolutely a fact. We raise our prices and recruiting numbers when we have a Republican rule because we know unemployment is going to go up. It's a stat that we track like religiously. So I think you make almost 25 to 35%, I think was the last figure when I was in about 3 years ago. It's about 25 to 35% more per recruit under Republicans. I hired less people under Republicans for 6 years. I hired way more under Democrats. Unemployment went down. I helped more people under Democratic rule. And you have to be able to admit that. You have to be able to see that. If you've been in recruiting long enough, that is a fact. That is a fact that every recruiting firm uses, especially in blue-collar recruiting. So if you're talking about truck drivers, manufacturing, industrial settings, any sort of labor statistics whatsoever, that is 100% fact. The only time that changes is in tech. Tech is one of the most consistent recruiting levels at any point in time because tech is a growing industry. You also have to understand that Republicans don't drive tech, and so I recruit less tech individuals under Republican rules than I do under Democratic. There's more innovation, there's more leadership, there's more progression under Democratic rule than there ever has been under Republican rule. And you have to be able to admit that. If you've been recruiting for any length of time, that should be a clear indicator of who is actually out for the betterment of the country.
Yeah, for the last 10 years or so, I recruit directly for corporations. So a lot of it is your HR, accounting, actuarials, IT, staffing. I don't do a lot of blue collar worker. So, some of your indicators could be very, very different than, like for me, I recruit for a lot of our programs. So right. DE&I programs. What type of money are we investing into efforts? In my experience, when it comes to, like under Obama, a lot of those investments came down. That money came down to invest in that because more money was going out in taxes. The companies were being taxed more, so they had less money to invest in. And again, the companies I work for aren't under one owner, right? Like a Bill Gates, right? So it's the companies that I work for are usually publicly traded. They do cut back on programs. They do less hiring. They'd have to send.
You're going off on a different tangent here. I'm going to nail you down a little bit because I've tried to nail you down a couple of times, and I'm going to keep that up. Do you hire more people when there's a Democrat in power, or do you hire more people when there's a Republican in power?
I've hired more people under Republicans' power. Like under Trump, I've hired more than I have under Democrats in my space. Financial services, huh?
When did you start hiring under Trump? Because you have to remember there's a pandemic, and so you boosted the right to work.
We were still hired.
So you're talking about the third and fourth quarter of 2020 and the first quarter of 2021. You recruited more.
I've recruited more, yeah, because a lot of the jobs that we had were remote. Now I understand blue collar jobs, most of them you can't work remote, but for me, we did work. They were working remote. We made accommodations. We were still paying higher wages.
In the last 2 years, have you hired more consistently under Joe Biden than you did under Trump?
Yeah, it's still consistent, but it's coming down now.
No, that's so you're trying to look at an outlier to determine the economic standard for recruiting. If you look at the last 10 years, remember I recruited 6 years prior to the pandemic. And 6 years prior to the pandemic, it was very, very easy to tell what indicators we were going to use. And that is something that you have to be able to take into account. You cannot look me straight in the face and tell me that aside from a pandemic, which was, once again, that was an outlier, that you do not hire more people underneath Democratic rule, and then you hire less people with more profit under Republicans. It's always been that way. It's always going to be that way. Why do you think the truck driving industry specifically, let's just look at one tiny little industry there, just that specific industry. Why do you think more truck drivers go to work during Democratic rule than they do under Republicans?
I don't hire in that space, so I couldn't tell you why. I would imagine transportation.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think more people get hired under Democratic rule than they do under Republicans? Why do you think there's more money made under Republicans? And this is a simple fact for you to look up. If you're in the recruiting world, you should know this. You should know that you make more money recruiting less people under Republicans than you do under Democrats, correct?
I haven't looked at those numbers specifically, but being in recruiting for 18 years, I know trends really well. I don't look at, well, what is our economic indicator for blue collar workers when I'm hiring financial services?
You just said 18 years you've been in recruiting. And so, so for 18 years, you're telling me that the only outlier that you're going to use is during the pandemic and under Trump, you hired more people. So you're literally using an outlier for 18 years of experience to determine that Republicans are better for the economy? That's bizarre.
No. I didn't say no, because I'll tell you, under Bush it wasn't. But you gotta remember, there's 8 years of Obama, 4 years of Trump, and now we're 3 years into Biden. So majority of my upfront recruiting was under the Obama administration. Before that was a little under Bush. I don't agree with that. Majority of my 8 years core experience was under Obama first. I saw the struggles. I saw what people, now, was I in the indicators of what blue collar workers were doing? No. What they were making, what kind of growth they had year after year after year? No, I don't. Okay. I do know trends.
But again, man, I'm going back to this because I've got to lock you down on this because you got to understand what you're saying and where you're putting this out. You're saying that you recruited the best after a pandemic, meaning that there are more people looking for work after that pandemic than any other time in your entire career, and that's your outlier to determine economic success in your field.
No.
Please. So that's not. So you recruited more people under Trump before the pandemic or after the pandemic? Because you already told me that it was the third and fourth quarter going into the first and second quarter of 2021. I locked you out on that. We can go back and listen.
No, but I know what you're saying. In your field, in your headhunting, right, in agency, you probably work with how many different companies and how many different industries across how many different levels. I focus in on particulars, right? And I know I'm on the strategy calls with our company on what our needs are from different departments and different groups. My focus is in one area, but I work with a lot in the others. You're asking me in my personal experience, what have I hired more? I've hired probably a little more, but I've hired the wage competition is much higher. So what people are paying, what we're paying some of our call center people has been higher. What are we asking for in terms of software engineers? 30,000 higher than what we had thought per year. Sign-on bonuses have increased under all this time, right? I've seen more competition and more stress under managers when it comes to their budgets in meeting the demands of the growing market. And under Obama, it was there, right? I probably hired more because I was in it for 8 years. But I'm saying I saw this massive boom.
Hold on just a second. I'm going to stop for just a second. So you're saying that there was a higher demand during Trump?
For wages? Oh, yeah. Yes, for wages, yes.
So what happens, please tell me when that period was, because again, you're using an economic outlier to determine your success. That is not the way that recruiting
I'm not determining my success, and we were talking about, I was answering his original question, which is, do you like living paycheck to paycheck? That billionaires hoard money, vote Republican. I was simply saying I don't know necessarily agree with that. And now we're into what do blue collar workers make and who's hiring more under Obama and outliers of Trump. And I'm simply saying that the wages have massively increased, probably into Trump's first year into office. Second year into office is when it really boomed. And then the last couple of years it continued. But this year I'm getting more and more and more calls and people being laid off, contracts not being renewed. They're looking for work. Again, this is my field. These are people contacting me for my company that I work for. But again, I don't work in healthcare. I don't work in manufacturing. I don't hire for these. So you probably have more statistical data when it comes to those points.
I 100%
So
do. And I can also tell you this, the people that are pushing to get rid of remote work, which is affecting what it sounds like
yeah,
your industry, the people that are pushing to do that are Republicans, not Democrats. There are
well,
more
actually we're hanging on. We're going to hold on to remote. But I do agree with you. There are a lot of companies forcing people to come back to work because they're paying for buildings that they're not using, and they want to try and get it back the way it used to
And they're
be.
mostly, and once again, it's Republican policy that's get the nation back to work. That's what they're getting behind. And so
Yeah,
the
sure.
comment that once again, the comment that you're making, and I'm just coming in from this point, I'm going to jump off of here. I'm going to let Jay get back to you. I think I've gone through and I've made my point here. The point is as a recruiter, you cannot possibly represent that you do better under Republicans. It's just not possible. They're not better for the economy as far as job placement. They never have been. They're better for recruiting firms. They're better for headhunters. They're better for staffing agencies in terms of money per hire. They hire less people under Republican rule and they make more money off of it. And that's because Republicans aren't interested in getting people back to work. They're interested in making rich people richer, including corporations. And so as a recruiter, as a recruiting director for 6 years for Fortune 500 company that recruited headhunters that do what you do,
Mhm.
I just couldn't stand by and sit here and watch you misrepresent that fact, because 100% Democrats are better for the economy when it comes to getting people to work. Republicans are better for corporations making money. That's I'm going to jump.
However, and I do appreciate your time and I appreciate your thoughts and appreciate you sharing your knowledge and statistics around your space. But I will have to say that a lot of companies, especially in those blue collar ones, I think that when a Democrat's in office, the wages come down. I think they do hire more to cover more. But in my space, where the wages have gone up so dramatically, they have to narrow down how much people they can hire because they're overpaying people's wages. So if you're projected to hire someone at 100,000 and the market's demanding we pay them 130 because of competition, well, instead of hiring two people, you're going to hire one. Just because of budget reasons. So I think some of those statistics now, obviously truck drivers, you're going to hire more, right? You're probably going to hire more in manufacturing because cover shifts and things. But
yeah, I would just say this because we've spent a lot of time. I do need to get to others. I would just say this, that like I appreciate you willing to have the conversation to stay calm, but I just being fully transparent. I think that you rely heavily on your own personal experience, and that outside statistics don't seem to matter to you much. And I think that if we want to be like an educated electorate, like we can't focus on the anecdotal. We can't focus on our own personal experience. We do need to look outside. And I think that as Americans, that's one of the things that we're worst at, is saying like what's better for me versus what's better for the country. And I think generally speaking, Republicans, like Whisper said, they want to make things better in this country for rich people. They care very little about anybody else. Their legislation proves it. The way that they speak proves it. They're consistently trying to cut money for people who desperately need money while increasing corporate welfare. And I would just say, if we look at the last 40 years, this experiment that started with Ronald Reagan, who, by the way, like, he was very popular, he was very charismatic, he may have been a great person, but he was really fucking wrong. And it's time for Republicans to eat shit on this and realize that they were wrong and stop doubling down on bad policy. And that only happens when the Republican voters stop listening to the bullshit that they're being fed and stop allowing this to happen just so that they don't have to admit that they're wrong.
But hey, I appreciate your time and thanks so much. And I'll give you a follow, man. I appreciate your time.
I appreciate it. Come back anytime.
Yeah, bye.
We'll see you. All right. Look, I got to take a break in the action. I've got news. Sloth, I see you there. I can bring you up next, but I have news. It appears that the phones are working in the county jail. Miss Julie.
Hey, Jay.
Hi, Miss Julie. How are you?
Good. Well, I'm not in good spirits.
Oh, man. Is there any way, I know that you're probably hiding a phone right now in jail, but is there any way you could get a little closer to the mic? It's hard to hear you.
Well, I'm pretty weak, Jay. Is that any better?
That's a little better. What's going on, Miss Julie?
Oh, you can't even begin to imagine what's been going on here.
Could you tell me about it?
It's terrifying. Well, where do I even start? They shut down all the court hearings because, well, fuck my life. There was an infestation of pigeons in the ceiling, in the walls, in the appliances, in the jail kitchen. They followed me. They followed me, Jay. This is some kind of sick cosmic or karmic joke. I don't know what it is. So it got in the food supply. It just got everywhere. So now they're checking us all out for histoplasmosis from the pigeons, which I understand may or may not show symptoms, but it can cause stuff like pneumonia. But the worst of the problem was inadvertent from the pigeons.
What's
See,
that?
They had shit so much on top of the refrigerator that it clogged up the intake of the air and made the food inside go bad. And the worst problem we had, Lord, oh Lord, was with the eggs. Now, you would think we had powdered eggs here at the jail, but
You'd think so,
no,
yeah.
we had fresh ones. We had fresh ones. And they were not so fresh. So, needless to say, we've been, well, you start to cough because you're feeling a little queasy. And then you start puking from the food poisoning. Then
Yeah.
you're puking so hard, well, let's just say I trusted a fart. It did not have a good outcome because it came out. Wasn't good. So, I don't know, Jay. They had taken my cane from me when I got here, you see, because apparently they had heard about the pigeons and how I've been trained in cane flu. So they didn't want me doing any damage. So the best we could do was glue together 8 rolls of toilet paper. Now, that was a little short, but it was the only thing I could use for support as a disabled woman in prison. So you can imagine what with all the puking and pooping that my toilet paper cane has been pretty depleted. I'm down to just cardboard rolls, and they're not holding up for much. And I'm a big girl. It's going to take more than a little cardboard to get my big carcass around in here. So they had decided to start, they were going to do closed caption or whatever, the video with the court, because it wasn't safe to let any of us leave.
Yeah.
So I was heading down for my hearing, and I slipped on a piece of undigested bologna, fell backwards, hit the back of my head. Oh, it must be that histoplasmosis. Hold on a second. So I fell backwards and hit my head, and it kind of squished, and I landed in a pile of poo. It was so bad. So I heard that my court-appointed lawyer was waiting for the hearing, and I told them, just go ahead. Because my face is still all fucked up from the pigeons pecking at me, and we tried crushing up some ramen noodles and mixing it with a little water. to make a spackly kind of paste to fill in the pox.
Yeah.
But nah, it didn't work. It was bad. So they got somebody to help me get down to the shower. That was Miss Linda. I guess I'm
God
her,
bless
I'm
Miss
her
Linda.
wife now. Well, I'm her wife now. I have my own phone, though. Miss Linda gave me a phone. So, yeah, I'm a kept woman here in prison. So, yeah, she helped me down to the shower. And since I couldn't take my glued together roll of cardboard toilet paper tubes in the shower because they would have disintegrated,
Sure.
she came in with me and ever so gently washed all that poop out of my hair. That Miss
That's
Linda's a
beautiful.
good woman.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. I've
goodness.
met some kindly people here. Some
Who would've
kindly
guessed?
people.
Who would have guessed you would find
Yeah.
love in prison? I'm so happy
Who
for you.
knew?
Yeah.
Who knew? I found love in a hopeless place. I should write a song about that.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
My goodness. So when I got back to my cell, I had one of those big manila-like envelopes in there. They took the metal tang off, that goes in the circle that holds it closed so it's private. Because
Sure.
apparently that could be used for a weapon also. I mean, do I look like a dangerous woman, Jay?
I would maybe if I was a pigeon, I would think so, but no.
Well, perhaps. So, in that folder, I was introduced to my attorneys. Let me try and read this. Oh, Lord. From the law firm of Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe. Oh, Lord. Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe. That's not a good sign. So let's see what's going on in
Are
here.
these for those who may not know? I believe those are the last names of the Three Stooges. Is that right?
I don't think so.
Or that was from the Three Stooges. I mean, that was a law firm from the Three Stooges.
So these might not be real attorneys?
Well, no. What I'm saying is, all this time I thought the Three Stooges were just making up a law firm, but it appears that they're real.
Well, absolutely. I mean, this all looks official-like. There's a surprisingly long list of charges here. Let's see.
Cheatham, right?
Well, there was animal cruelty,
Probably
hunting
fair.
without a license, hunting out of season, poaching. Nothing was poached. Those pigeon poppers were deep fried. Poaching, Jay.
It's a witch hunt.
This is wrong. This is wrong. And what's the last one? Improper use of an assisted walking device for the purpose of weaponry. What?
I didn't even know that was a law. It sounds like they're
my
making shit
God.
up.
I have been charged with improper use of an assistive walking device for the purpose of weaponry. I've heard it all now. My goodness. That's just
terrible.
wrong.
It's so terrible.
Let's see. What else do we have here? Oh, let's see. Oh, also, this was a violation of the Fair Chase Act. Something about you can't hunt game confined by fences or enclosures. My apartment is small, but it's not like I trapped them for the purpose of an easy fight.
You didn't put
They
the boards
came
up
in
on the
here.
window. You didn't put the
No,
boards
this-
up.
If they didn't argue castle doctrine for this 46 pigeon massacre, I'm going to be madder than hell. All right. So let's see. Oh, okay. I see they're citing the Michigan Food Law Act 92 of 2000.
Oh no.
This was my lawyer's defense. Apparently, under the Michigan food law, I can conduct a feeding operation as a result of a disaster. Now, Jay, would you say my ordeal has been a bit of a disaster? since I got that vaccine? Or is it more of a comedy of errors?
It's an absolute disaster, a catastrophe of epic proportions. I can't believe the
Yeah.
mistreatment that you have received.
It is, oh, it breaks my heart for my own self.
Me
So,
too.
yeah, feeding is a result of a disaster. Well, apparently, I have to appear on closed circuit tomorrow to get my sentence. So, oh, well, Jay, I guess I'll have to let you know when I find out what they're going to do
Yeah,
with me.
could you give us an update, please, when you know?
Yeah,
I
I'll be
appreciate
sure
it,
to
Miss
do
Julie.
that. I'm still mad about my cane.
I am
I'm
too, but
still
listen.
improper use. What do they want me to use? A wrapping paper roll? That wouldn't have hardly helped.
I'll see if we can start a GoFundMe to smuggle in a cane
Oh,
for
for
you. I'll see what we
heaven's
can do.
sakes.
But
Cash
listen,
app in the
if I get
bio.
if I get that cane in there for you, I need you to promise that you use it for walking only. This is not a marital aid for you and Miss Linda, okay?
Oh, Jay, is it a 4-prong or an 8-prong? We may have company. Just saying. Just saying. All right, I gotta go. I don't want to get discovered with my fancy new smartphone.
Yeah, put it back in your pocket.
All right. I love you, Jay. No.
I love you, Miss Julie.
I'll talk to you tomorrow, dear. Wish me luck at my sentencing.
Yes, ma'am. Best of luck to you, Miss Julie. Oh, Miss Julie's going through it. That's it. I can't do it anymore. I can't do that. I'm not. Nobody's gonna look. The box emptied. Everybody's like, fuck that. I'm not following Miss Julie, which is fine. I had 10, 15 minutes left. We'll cut it a little short today. Thank you, everybody. We had a great day today. Thanks for all the support. Thank you for the gifts. Thank you for gifting Miss Julie. We're doing everything we can to get her out of this unfair situation. If you see some pigeons today, tell them, just yell at any pigeon you see, just yell free Miss Julie. Thanks for Whisper for coming on and getting off the fence for once in your goddamn life. Whisper just fence sits every issue ever. It's like, well, actually, in the middle ground, it was nice to see him take a real position today. So thank you, Whisper, for taking an actual position for once in your goddamn life. I bet that was terrible for you. I'll be back tomorrow morning at 9:30. Between 9:30 and 9:35 is when I'll get there. But every day, Monday through Friday, 9:30 to 1 Pacific Standard Time. Thank you for the subscriptions. We hit 100 subscriptions yesterday. That's amazing. I didn't even notice that until I saw it this morning. So thank you guys for the support. If you do want to subscribe, it goes to help me out. I have the cheapest possible one. It's $2.99. Our Discord is free. You can jump in there. If you see me being quiet and I start laughing for no reason, if you see a silly smile on my face, it's because somebody in Discord said something fucked up and it made me laugh. So if you want to join the Discord, shoot me a message. I'll send you the link for our Discord. Link for merchandise is in my bio, as well as the link to my Twitter and my YouTube. I upload, not always every day. Sometimes it's the next morning, but I upload the replays of these to my YouTube. So if you can't catch it every day, the replays are on my YouTube. Those usually come up the evening after. So this evening they should be up there. But there's YouTube. Subscribe there. That helps me out a ton. I love all of you, even Whisper. I'm sorry for saying mean things. And B, is B still here? Where's B? Where's B? Is B still here? B, if you're still here, I know we have a thing. I know it's just like I know you come in here and you criticize me, but I know that you love me. And I love you, B. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.